That's funny, boy. Hey guys, how y'all doing? Gonna start up here in a moment. All right, how's everybody doing today? Got a few people hanging around. We're going to see if we can get a few more people in here today. And we'll have ourselves a little chitty chat. Talking all things reef related as a general rule. Realized, was laughing with a friend of mine the other day that I wasn't posting this out Facebook wise. And realized, well, that's a big mistake because I've actually got a bit of a following. So we'll see how that goes. So yeah, so anybody who's out, the link's up right at the moment. If you want to drop in and say boo, you feel free. You talk reef-related topics for the most part. We always get off topic here. Yeah. We got 3 people in here. How are you guys today? How's the Reeferites? No, that's just horrible. I'm sorry. That was... How's my fine friends today, is the way I look at it. How are you guys doing? Hopefully I find you well and nobody's having a bad time with their tank. How you doing, Doradicate? Just doing my link out. I gotta find an easier way to do this. I will eventually, I'm sure. And I got one more share to put out, and then we can get to Quibbling. Hey, well, how's it going, Tom? How's life treating you? We're having a good laugh. Eddie, unlucky Eddie, got your notification about the bad stuff literally just last night. That's like 5 days late. That's some fine notifications right there. So there we go. So everything's up, everything's running. All is food. Oh, good. No, all is food is better, man. Always. Hey, Kwahu, how you doing, buddy? Kwahu, Big K. I'm gonna stream for a bit. I do have a bunch of crap I gotta do today, but I have been saying I'm gonna start at noon from now on as best I can, and that is what I'm gonna try to stick with, and try to do somewhere between 1 and 2 hours. It really depends. You know, if you're having that dry day, people are working, they really just can't, you know, get on. Maybe you just don't like me anymore. I have no idea. But to smoke some reef. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's Reefer Madness is the name of my channel, D. All right, who we got popping in? That sounds like my saltwater journey. How you doing, Tom?
I'm doing good.
Good. Not too bad, not too bad. I'm going to pull your volume down just a hair. Yeah, tank's doing better every day?
Yeah.
Good,
actually.
Good. Yeah, that's an unfortunate incident you had, but
yeah, we got a power outage as well today for a couple of hours.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, those LG, I'll tell you, D, I use S7 Edge, and the picture that you see for the small tank, in the small picture is that. The big one today is a borrowed tablet, but I'm going to pick up another replacement foam for my S7. It did take a fall a little while ago, and have decided that I got lucky, got a good deal, and I'm going to stick with it, is what I'm going to do. So yeah, so did any of my promotional Let's Help Tom help you at all? Did you get any donations at all, buddy?
No.
Ah, bummer.
That's life, you know.
That's kind of the way it works, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know, in all honesty, that's not why we're really doing this either. No.
We're doing this for fun.
No. If I was trying to make... I think the foolish idea of coming onto YouTube and you're going to make $1 million is... You know, there's guys who do it. I mean, I know Street Speed 717. I think I've talked about him before. He's actually... he makes about $30,000 a month.
Yeah, there are people that make over $300,000 a month, so there are big names out there, but...
Yeah, but they're very
it's
far...
about 1%.
You got it. It is truly... you got lucky. You just kind of hit the lottery, right? And why is...
if you want to get a couple of subscribers, you have to be like an idiot. That's what people like. They like idiots.
Yeah, they want to see you do something foolish, right?
Yeah, that's what they like. They don't like serious stuff.
No, they don't. Or they want to see cars. Right? It seems car channels
Yeah, exactly.
are just absolutely, huge.
Electronics, cars, things like that.
And the other one that's really huge, and I think I've heard Michael Aaron talk to that, is toy openings, opening toys.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
huge.
Toys.
And I'm like,
And
well, that fits.
Open toys and throwing them, yeah.
Yeah, and that's let's face it, we're all big kids. That's why we love our reef tanks. That's why the technology end is such a big addiction. Because it's toys. You get to buy toys, right? Or you're buying fit. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of goes in with that ethos, right? Yeah, we hear you. No, D, that's what we're talking about, man. And Big K, I sent you the link. That you should get that shortly. But yeah, it's it's the unfortunate things. Like, if you notice, my tank's looking pretty good. It's not doing
today.
Yeah. And it's
good.
Yeah. And oh, thanks. You're well. Yeah, you still can't believe that tank did that. And he is picking on him. If you look in the top left corner, you can see that blood shrimp, and you can see.
At night when you're sleeping. They're paralyzed when they're sleeping, so you can pick them up with your hands. I did.
I may have to try that, but he hides in a pretty good rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can poke them and everything else when they sleep. They don't move.
Yeah.
When they're sound asleep, they don't move a fin.
Well, that would explain those sharks that eat them. Because I watched that and I was just amazed. Why didn't the fish try to swim out?
No, they don't. When the blue tank is sleeping, he's sleeping. He's out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, I may take him out because I can't wait a month, or I got to remove the shrimp.
I never seen
either way.
a tank be so aggressive. Never.
Nobody's seen that, right? Like literally, I've had more people just react to that part of it and are just amazed. And I had some guy try to give me some Tang psychology. Well, the tank's too small. That's why he's doing it. And I'm like,
it's a 120. It's not too small.
It's not too small, man. It's 120 gallons, 4 foot by 2 foot. If you think adding 2 foot of tank, yes, the water volume is more. I would never argue that. But to tell me that a tank that can cross 2 feet in a tenth of a second makes a difference in the run of his day, I got arguments there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm with you.
Hey, what's going on, Big K?
Not much. Trying to get these chemicals balanced again. For some reason, my alkalinity is shooting up.
Hi, Haley.
Magnesium is dropping like crazy.
I balanced mine. All right, hey, how you doing? Oh, Haley, my giggle girl's in here. How you doing, Haley?
Paul screwed us before.
Yeah, what happened there? Does anybody know?
I've been closed down after 2 seconds.
Yeah, like it came up. You think he blew a computer? Did he?
Or push the wrong button.
You know what I think? He does have a hot tub. I bet you he went back and he dipped a toe.
Yeah.
I bet you he said, you know what? The hell with this. I'm going to go dip a toe. Right? So.
Like my 6-year-old did yesterday. She gave the laptop some pasta.
Sorry.
It didn't like it dripped all over it, man.
I'm sorry. You know what's really funny, Tom, is my backup computer, I don't leave the side on it so it stays cooler, right? And my cat loves to get on on the desk and just pester me. And I never told anybody this because, one, she didn't get hurt. Okay, I mean, she got hurt, but it didn't injure her. But she stuck her nose into where the CPU fan is and was trying to sniff it, and you heard it go across her nose. Big explosion across the desk. You know, shit's flying everywhere.
That's
you know,
camera time.
Yeah, I wish I had had that. I wish I had.
Oh my god!
I was actually saying to my wife, I said, I wish I had had the webcam on then. You know,
that's a 6K sub right there.
That would have been, yeah, everyone would have wanted to see my cat take that on the nose. And now, every time she hears the computer at night do its little cycles that it's doing, she perks up in the bed and she looks out and she stares like it's coming to get her.
It's gonna kill me.
Right? So it's even better, like because she's my girl. That's, you know, the female cat. She's just all about dad, dad, dad. Everything's dad. If anybody else tries to really touch her, nope, I'm gonna rip your face off, right?
Yeah.
Haley, are you trying to tell me that you stuck your nose into a CPU fan? Because that's just awesome. Does that smell burnt? Yeah. I do know another guy who did something just so monumentally dumb. He had the side off his computer. He was talking to me, blah blah blah, and he's like, and he goes to point, and of course, and he literally blew his fan because he jammed a cigarette into it, and it jammed it in there, and it blew out the bushings, right? Yeah. And he literally looks at me, you don't have another fan, do you? And I went, no, go get your big fan. I'll show you a trick. Right?
Try with this one.
Yeah. I've done a few things in my time I'm proud of with computers, and I've done a few things I'm not proud of. When I blew my Intermax power supply because I missed a pin, I still don't know how the hell I did that because it was on there. So it was a design flaw that the old 6-volt rail for motherboards back in the early 2000s, it slipped into the plastic behind it, so it didn't seat, so it caused a fire. Thankfully, it only burned the power supply. Thankfully, but I've done a few other things that I'm just not proud of that I've screwed up a computer with. So
I always seem to give my computer strings or something like that. I don't know why.
Well, I'll tell you, the CD-ROM is not a coffee cup holder. I know a lot of people think that. No,
I don't even have a CD-ROM on mine.
I actually, you know what's funny? I do on this one. I don't on the rest. But it was funny. I actually took a picture one time of going, see, it works perfectly well.
Yeah, I have one. I don't know what to do with it.
I wouldn't be a spilly guy though, or gal. So Haley, how are you? How's your tank doing? I don't think you get enough dew, girl. I know your tank looks amazing, and I know you're a big Mandarin fanatic like me. So
Mandarins are nice.
Man, I've been looking at mine, and I know she's not thin, but go ahead, Kay.
I said, so am I. I just wish I had one.
They're so finicky. Anyway, I'm going out today.
I don't have one.
Do you know what I've been trying to find is a Snapple bottle? You know that drink Snapple, and they used to put orange juice in them. I need it because my tank, there's enough flow that even a plastic bottle, even though it's big enough, the problem is even with water in it, it starts moving around. You're having issues. Okay, so number one, Kuahu, or Big K, did Cruz tell you how to fix the issue, or did you get enough info before you got too tired?
Which issue are we talking about?
Your alkalinity doing its thing.
I mean, he told me to reduce it, and I checked magnesium and everything this morning, so my magnesium's dropping way faster than it used to.
Right. So
I was at like 1360 about a week and a half ago, and now I'm down at 1240.
Okay, so you consumed about 120 parts per million. Okay.
Right. My calcium has dropped from 430, which it was staying stable there for a while, to 410. I'm not worried about it too much, but the alkalinity went up. I mean, I tested Monday and it was at 9.7. Today it was at 10.9.
Okay, so I got a question. You haven't changed your salt. I'm not going to go into the ridiculous stuff. I know you got enough experience, but take your torch out, Haley, and dip it in iodine if you haven't already done so. I think you already know that. That's about all you can really do. Now, and when I say dip it in iodine, take a bowl, dip, dip, but put about 3 drops of iodine, straight iodine, and then swish it around, leave it in there for about 5 minutes, take it out, swish it into some fresh salt water, put it back. That if anything is going to help, because you're dealing with a bacterial. You need something to kill that, right? Something has gotten in there, and Unfortunately, it's probably waterborne to begin with. So yeah, sorry, I have dealt with that way too much. So your alkalinity is climbing, your mag is dropping, and your calcium slightly dropping.
Yep.
And you bubble.
Yep. Every day. Once lights, actually an hour before lights go off until an hour after lights come back on.
Oh, we need Cruz or we need Nick. We need someone that's got. And the reason I say that because that's weird. Usually magnesium drops heavy and it goes along with consumption, right? So something is causing that uptake.
Right, and I'm not seeing any extra coralline growth. Like I scraped my back glass 3 weeks ago. There is no new coralline on it. I cannot tell on my rocks because the rocks I have are purple.
Yep. So it's like mine.
The Reef rock 2 or whatever. I hate this stuff, to be honest. I'm so ready to move to something like Picani or
what kind of
else, but I'm not going to do that until the new build.
Right. What kind of rock are you using right now?
That Reef 2.0 rock.
Oh, that purple shit. You know, we've been. I really would like to see a study done on that because I love it when people go on about Marco rock leaching phosphate, and you just kind of like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, it is. It's like, no, it isn't. I've had it in my tank for years, and I still don't have high phosphate. You know what I mean? Like, what are you getting at, right? But I have heard about that Reef 2.0, that Carib Sea purple stuff and the other man-made stuff. I've heard about it doing that. Hey, DM, how are you doing, buddy? Nice to see you.
Yeah, I originally thought it was leaching, but it turned out to be bad husbandry.
Right.
And I've corrected those issues. So I mean, my phosphates and nitrates have been right where I want them to be for weeks now. They're actually starting to drop on the lower side, so I'm gonna have to start feeding more than just once every 4 days.
Right.
I
don't know, man. Sorry, my chemistry is just not that good.
Yeah, no worries. I took out the dosing line for the alkalinity, and so it's not going to get anything anymore until, aside from the very tiny bit that comes through my ATO that I have a little bit of calcwater in.
But is your pH stable, Cahill?
It is sitting right at like 7.93 to 8. Whereas that's the drop last week, it was sitting between 8 and 8.1.
Because the pH and the alk almost always goes hand in hand.
Yeah, they buffer together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, oops. Weird. That's really weird. Yeah, that's. Demonetized. I'm done. Yeah, if I gave one iota of a care about that. And by the way, folks, those that don't know, hey Eddie, I hit 200 subscribers.
Yeah, see that? Grats.
That's kind of cool, you know.
Big boy now.
Yeah, I have to do a pull-ups commercial for Craig.
Yeah.
No, we were laughing, and actually, I was talking to Colby. You guys know my tech weenie. We were laughing about doing more vids, and we're trying to figure out what's the best method we're going to do, and we're going to do a little. I think we're going to. Well, inside the tank's a little more difficult than people think it is. I need a hero, right? So if anybody's got an old Hero 3 that they don't use anymore, you can send it my way. I'll take it because the video would be good enough. But what we're going to start doing is a little more. I'm going to keep doing the information videos, but I mean, come on, you can come on here and get that information. That's what I argue with Fish at Hex. That's the only thing I'd argue on is that smaller live streams, when we don't have, like Joey yesterday, I don't know if anybody caught that, but I know a few of us did, 3,500 people. I watched his stream flying by. And when I say flying, I couldn't even read anything. It was just like, just flying.
Yeah, it's crazy, the streams.
So, him live streaming should be just no chat. It's one of those things. That's just pointless. Unless you're there to collect super chats, which I get.
When you're Joey and you have, almost. He said he was coming up on 1 million subscribers, which is nuts.
Well, he is. I think he's at 780,000 now, which is, that's like me getting to 300. That's that next step. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, Oh, well, that's good. I love it when you listen. And don't forget the dip-to-do. Oh, I'm glad I can do that still. Sorry. One of those little things that's left from singing days. I was actually trying to do, I had a friend ask me to do Africa by Toto. And I was doing some recording and playing around with that. And I used to be able to hit Kimball's part. Right, Bobby Kimball, the guy that sings like, the high guy, the guy with the horrible '70s mustache. Okay, that's all you need to know. But he's the guy who sang "Hold the Line," did the high parts in Rosanna, the choruses. You might as well say right, or the pre-chorus. Same with Toto. So you have David Pike. I think is it Pike? Oh, I'm probably saying the wrong guy. One of the keyboard players. He does that main part of the song, and then he kicks in. And I was trying, and I used to be able to hit it no problem. And it's like, oh, I would have to probably do voice workouts for a couple of weeks just to hit it again. And I'm going, well, maybe I will. I don't want to lose my voice, don't get me wrong, but I also don't want to turn into Elton John. And every song is now a full step down. And if you don't understand what that means, if it's in A, you're now going to drop it down into G. Okay, the way that the scale works, because you can't hit it in A anymore, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's his voice has gone that way. Because if you listen to him do Crocodile Rock or Benny and the Jets, he can't hit those notes like he could in the 70s and the 80s, right? And even he admits it. And there's nothing wrong with it. It happens. A lot of singers do. But that's why I have such respect for singers like Sebastian Bach when he was with Skid Row. He can still do that stuff. Whittier, the singer from a band called Kix. Go listen to Kix in the 80s. That guy can still do that today, and he's almost 60. How? I have no idea. Looked after his voice, didn't do too many drugs or smoked too much probably. But yeah, looking after your voice is a really tough thing. So, but that all the diction stuff, that was really a big deal. People think it isn't. No, it's a really big deal, because if you sing and you sound like Vince Neil from Motley Crue, you're not doing it right. Because I'll tell you, in Show to the Devil, it's in the seasons of winter will stand up and deliver. Not in the seasons of wither will stand up and will dither. But that's what it sounds like he's saying. So, just saying. But anyway, on to your... we're going to have to get Cruz or somebody who's got a little more chemistry background and dealing with that and find out... Because that's weird, man. Mag shouldn't drop out like that and calcium go up. Or not calcium, sorry, alkalinity.
I was about it this morning, but I think he's medicated right now. So
I think he is. Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, I haven't talked to him yet today either. So I'm going to guess that whatever fixes they had to do for him, they did those early hours this morning again. So.
Yeah, I was talking with him a little bit, but actually just talking to him about Refugium Light, because I've confirmed my skimmer will run in my other section of my tank, so I can take the glass out of the first section and turn that into Refugium. Okay,
yeah, that's what I did. I made a space that's kind of like my Refugium skimmer section return, or not return, overflow. And I did that because it made it easier to get the equipment into place. And it's now housing a clown who I have to check on today. I forgot I didn't feed her. But I don't want to overfeed the tank just to feed her, but she's pretty good at coming up. And she's a very silly little fish because I caught her without food. I caught her without chasing her around. I literally put my fingers in, she came to attack me, and I scooped her up. That quick. Like, it took me...
That's the advantage of having mean clowns.
Yeah, that's the only advantage. If you watch that video I made, she did have him in that rockwork, pinned face first in, and was beating the crap out of him. Yeah, and I'm like, I can't let, a $60 fish kill another $60 fish. It's like, no. And he's really he's pretty aggressive. I told the story about him. I bought some for cleaning the rock. I had a brush, so as it was dying, I would clean it off so that it would go in the overflow. And the handle is cupped. You know what I'm talking about? It's hollow, and it's instead of closed over and hollow, the top was open. He swam up that as I was lifting my hand out of the tank, literally out of the water, just to bite me. Right, like, and he got me too, right? I'm like, it's a good thing I didn't panic. You would have went flying.
That's aggressive.
That's an aggressive clown, boy.
Yep.
Mine has actually calmed down, so you got a new coral.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that the move, when it all goes on, that actually tames that out a little bit.
Set
We'll see.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of reset, start over, because
territory and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah.
So what we might do.
With clowns, my two, I think they're platinum percula clowns.
Yep.
Are breathing, no issues with them. The clown I had before them, I could never get him to pair with another. He'd destroy them.
Yeah, just go nuts, eh? All right, hey D.
Wasn't hosting, so I said, let's get rid of you.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a hard decision to make. Like those on my big tank, there were that huge fox of mine, very healthy fish, I might add. I love
foxfish.
Yeah, I love how he's picking the bubble algae. Anybody notice that? That he is just constantly at my rock.
Like a pig.
Yeah, he just does not care, man. He's a 0 F's given fish. I swear to God.
It's food. Give me.
Yeah, it's mine. I want it.
I wish I could put one in my tank, but I just think foxface is too big for a 40 breeder.
Yeah, if he was one of the only fish, you could get away with it. But the problem is that who wants to just look at a fox? You want some other fish, and the problem is bioload, right? ADM.
You can get a baby one.
You could, but then you got to make sure you give them away and all. You know, that's the thing. I always tell people, like, yeah, the best of intentions are there, but if something goes wrong with trying to give that away, you're putting the fish at risk. But
if you want to upgrade later on.
Yeah. If you really are gonna, yeah.
Like I'm only getting the foxface to control bubble algae if I'm lucky enough that foxface would do that. There's no guarantees it will.
Nope.
It's better to get the emerald crab.
Tank, but when I move to the other tank, I'm not keeping any of the rock from this tank, so there's not really a need for me to get one. I just have to figure another way to get rid of this bubble algae.
Yeah, the DM's saying no, and I'm going to guess Kate knows that DM, but that's a good point. Your magnesium generally needs to be somewhere around. Well, I read 1280, and then around 1300, right? So 1400 really not that big a deal, to be honest. The only time you start to freak out is when you're climbing past 1500. Now you're reaching the I'm controlling algae method at that point, because I've seen that done, which is playing with the knife edge. Because if you spill over too high, you're going to start burning stuff really quick. But yeah.
I normally when I put my magnesium back where it's supposed to be, I try and run it at about 1320.
Yeah.
1320, 1340 is normally where I dose it to, and then this morning I set it up to where it's automatically dosing. I'm not going to be doing the weekly doses I was doing before.
Right.
Weekly or monthly. Just going to automate it, so 3 mils a day. And we'll work our way up until it balances out.
Yeah. I drip mine. I'm going to find a better way to drip mine. And I may actually pick up another drip. My local fish store guy did the bending of the tubes and everything for us. Right, so he just had some spare time. He had those little two little fishies ball valve, and what a great little thing that if I hang it in there, I can get all the way to the bottom of a bottle, and I can drip. You know, like I can literally control it that fine that I can get a drip like every 5 seconds. So you know, a 500 ml bottle will last all day, and then some. Right, so I can drip it in really slow if I have to. I keep thinking about a doser, but right now, this tank's about to get torn down and put back up in a new place in about a month and a bit, right? So why would I do that? Why would I even bother, right? What I really want to do, and the only reason I want donations at this point, is to redo all this rock work with fresh rock, and that's a tough call, because if you see that GSP and the daisies in the front there, those weird pipe organ, pinkish pipe organ, or daisies as we call them here, they're loaded with bubble algae underneath. You can see it everywhere if you know when they close up. So for me to actually work this rock, I got to wear gloves. I got to do the whole thing like I normally would and dig at that rock, and I mean dig, like abusively dig, right, to get that out of there.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything with this rock. It's as soon as this tank goes down, the rock is going in the trash. Yeah. And I'll never do. Well, I didn't purchase the purple rock in the first place. I picked it up from. I bought my original saltwater tank from someone else, and it was infested with what are they called? Kenya tree. And I pulled all those out. And
Yeah,
got all this. And I'm assuming this bubbleology came in on a frag, and I'm just kind of SOL ever since.
yeah, exactly. And the other thing is, and I don't know if Cruz mentioned that, but do things in your tank look okay?
Before the Flame Angel was taking on shit, yeah, everything was looking fine.
Yeah. No, but I mean now that the Flame Angel's out, does everything else look okay even though the levels are like this?
Everything. I'm starting to see a little bit more polyps on the Digitata I have. A couple of the ACANs are a little bit more open than they were.
Right.
The War Corals seems to be doing a little bit better. Seems to have a little bit more. It was kind of just retracted back to where it was. The skin was directly on the skeleton, and it's looking a little bit puffier now.
So.
So things are making a recovery. It's just a slow process.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, and you don't sound like you're panicking either. I don't think it's a panic station event. It's more just maybe understanding why it's happening, so that it doesn't.
I'm trying to. I definitely have had my panic moments, and then I just kind of sit down and go, nope. That's how that's a lot of the panic reaction stuff is how I ended up having a lot of issues several months ago, and I'm just going to take a step back and do things one day at a time, not even hourly or anything like that.
Never panic.
Yeah,
no, there's no need to.
Panic of newbies.
I was wasting too much mental space on panicking on my tank. It was literally, for a while there, it was literally almost causing panic attacks for me.
Yeah, and it does.
I know.
Yeah, and
everything shouldn't be that hard.
It shouldn't.
I did it to my first saltwater tank I had. I got panicked when something went bad, and I crashed the whole tank just because I panicked.
Yeah, just because you did 13 things all at once.
Yeah, and too much of it.
Yeah.
Now I just don't. Now I just look at it. Nah, it will get right. Crap it. If it's good tomorrow, it's good.
No, exactly. It's like, trying to explain it. I think Tina said it best. She called it the newbie jeebies. You know what I mean? Like, you're reefing with fear at that point. Because you're so new to it. Even a year in. I dealt with ick for my first year. Literally 9 months of it. And I think that made me a different reefer because of that. Because I really just left the main tank alone. I just made sure it was okay because there was no fish in it.
Yeah.
So it did its own thing, and I kind of went, well, geez, everything's looking, test this, everything's looking pretty good. Why would I dick with that in any way, shape, or form, right? So.
Exactly. Just leave it be.
Trying to be a little more hands-off and take things slower, keep my hands out of the tank. I try and only put my hands in maybe once a week.
And always use gloves.
I everything out. I literally write a list of things I want to change inside the water that week.
Yep.
I put my gloves on, stick my hands in the tank, I complete said task, take my hands out, and don't touch it again.
Yeah. And also gloves, you don't get your crap in the water.
Try not to, anyway. I'm a big proponent of pour vinegar on. I use tape. So after I dry myself off, I use tape to take any cat hairs. Because there's enough cat hair in my tank, thank you.
It's a cat tank.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I've got a husky, so I understand. I get a lot of dog hair.
I don't do anything at the end of the week, DM. I've been a big proponent if you're going to do stuff by hand, if you can't afford a doser, and I know that sounds like a crazy thing, but sometimes $230 is just $230 you don't have. But if you're going to,
that's like a J-Bow doser, which is $70.
Yeah. Well, the Coral Box is a J-Bow doser, but it's the Wi-Fi wireless with the containers. So it actually comes as a kit, right?
The Coral Box one. It's good.
Yeah, I just actually, I'll have the Coral Box D700 skimmer on Thursday.
Nice.
100 gallon.
Yeah, I've got the S150 in my 20-gallon. And what a great little skimmer. A little basic, but you know what? It just pulls like a charm, right?
Yeah.
It does what it does, right? DM's
really
asking.
My SDA skimmer as well, my 301, which is rated for 65 gallons. At first, I thought it was actually a problem, but now that I've got the tank balanced, I'm not overfeeding things. It's kind of a workhorse.
Can you show your tank?
I got a new subscriber. Thank you. Hey, Dan McDonald, thanks for subscribing. DM's asking if you can see your tank.
Yeah, I can. My phone's almost dead, but yeah, I can set up real fast.
There you go.
Inside of it.
I'll put you on present there so we don't mess around here. Do.
Let me get the stand set up.
Man, you're doing the good way.
I'm gonna do it the way where you don't have my hands shaking everything around everywhere.
I know.
That's the fun bit.
That's the fun part. It's like, look at this.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, it's out of focus. Oh, it's out of focus. Damn.
Yeah. Can you see that? No, we can't see that. It looks like a purple and gray mess. Stop it. Yeah. Exactly.
I don't know if you guys saw. I did post a video that I took this morning of the tank.
No. I thought I swear to God, half the time subscription stuff isn't working these days.
No, I have to resubscribe to Nick today because I was out.
Yeah, he's only got 4 videos, and I think when you're at a low point, you know, subscriber-wise and then video content-wise, I think it ends up dropping the subscription on people because of their algorithm.
Marco, you have no videos on your webpage.
No, I don't. I haven't started posting anything. I was referring to. I posted it in the chat.
Oh, you posted it in the chat. Gotcha.
I can't see that.
Well, there we go. So, it's all good. It's all good.
We're not mad.
Not at all. No, it's definitely that is a weird one you got going on, Kay. I've never seen that. I've seen high alk, really, really low magnesium, and then usually the calcium, and they're both overdosed. That's what we hear, and I know that's not the case of what you've done. So
yeah, my dosing, I mean, it's 11 mils spread out through. So alkalinity starts. My lights turn on at 5 in the morning, so I wake up to a fully awake reef tank.
Yep.
And then I watch it go to bed. So it's on from 5 until 2 in the afternoon. So I start dosing alkalinity at 2, and it's 11 mils spread out through until 5 in the morning. And then calcium starts at 6 and goes until 2.
Yep. That's not bad. That's a weird. But you know what? If you want to be able to see your tank, that's what you got to do, right? Like,
yeah.
You know,
well, for the longest time, I had it set up to where it was, you know, I would watch the tank wake up.
Yep.
And I just decided I would rather see the tank in full swing because I always look forward to that in the afternoons on the weekend. And I never got to see it during the week. So it was only really one day a week I got to see the tank fully awake.
Yeah.
Where is the camera?
I get up 5 minutes before my tank turns on.
Yeah.
So mine starts at 7 in the morning. It ends at 10 at night.
Whoa.
Right.
Why am I... Okay. And let's flip the screen. If it'll let me.
If not, turn the camera around.
Yeah.
That always works. There you go. There we go.
Let's see if I can see what you guys see. That's still a little low. Let me grab the other stool.
Yeah, stool.
Bottom, man, that's big.
I use a bucket to get it propped up. Yeah.
I got my camera mount.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a tripod here shortly, just to avoid the cats. Oh, yep. See, and that problem. Yeah.
Yep.
Get a proper mount.
Just a minute. My makeshift cardboard cell phone stand.
Just 3D print one. Oh man, just look at that. Big.
There we go.
Come on. Now you just gotta stay up.
I've never seen a clam open so much as yours.
Yeah, look at that. That Durasa?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
But they like your elevated results in your tank because otherwise the clam would shut up.
Yeah, he'd be a real.
He'd be gone.
Hey, what's going on, Tina?
The only time I've seen it close up was the last day I had the Flame Angel on the main display. He started picking at it. That was the only day through all of the crap. I've had him for about 2 months, and through all the crap I put it through, it is open every single day as wide as possible.
Nice. That's always a good sign, really. Yeah.
Looking
No.
at the A can in bottom.
Yeah, so well, I think that's a
Is that? No, that's not the
that's
A
an
can.
that's an open brain, I think.
Yeah.
To the left of the
that's
clam,
Trachyphilia?
Trachophilia. Yeah,
Yeah, that was a real big fluffy one.
yeah.
He's
So-
actually about half the size he normally is.
But man, what high flow you have. That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, that is because I was saying, man, if my tank looked like that, all my
empty a tank.
there you go. Get Marky up for his sausage and hit the bong.
Hit the bong.
Hit the
Start with the bong,
bong.
then sausage.
Yeah, get the appetite up.
Yeah.
To get a look in there.
Get the munchies going.
Biology we're talking about.
That's good looking. Yeah.
Now
And
you're.
then
That looks like an ultra bubble tip.
I bought it as a rainbow.
Rainbow, yeah, rainbow ultras. I think they call them up here. Yeah.
you split one.
Yeah, and it just split a couple weeks ago.
Cool. Bring it up here.
Yeah. Just send it. No problems.
I can't get anyone in my local area to actually pick it up off me.
Wow.
I love NEMS. That's my favorite call. That and euphelias and hammerheads. I love everything that moves.
Where's my finger? That's my favorite A-can here.
That's a nice one.
And Echinata?
What's the orange one back there?
No, the blue
That's
one in front.
the orange one up back. That's a Favite.
It's another Echinata, but I don't know the actual. Like,
Oh, it is an Echinata. Okay.
Mm.
Very nice. Very nice.
Super nice thing. Super nice.
So I mean, everything looks like it's reacting well. So yeah, definitely no panic, right?
No,
But,
yeah,
just
I
leave it
mean,
alone.
if everything was closed up and looked angry, I might make some, more aggressive changes, like doing a water change or something. But
Yeah.
You got the best.
again, I don't want to do a water change right now because my nutrients are starting to drop a little low for my comfort. I don't need to reduce them anymore.
No, anymore, and you're going to start.
You have the best snitch in the tank. You got a clam.
Yeah, he's the first guy to tell
the
you.
Duncans do way better than he does. The Duncans let me know when there's an issue.
Yeah, if you know which one, and that's another reason to pay attention to your tank. You'll know which one's telling you something's up first.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
The coals and the shrimps are always telling you stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be get that tang out of there, I think. And if not, like I said, I'll get the shrimp out. Either way, because then it takes his aggression away from it. And that lets my shrimp, hold on there. And plus, he'll look better in the 20. Let's be honest. Seeing a big blood shrimp firing around in that 20-gallon.
I love blood shrimps.
Yeah,
I got two huge ones in my tank. The only shrimp I lost was my one of my cleaner shrimps.
Is a blood shrimp a fire shrimp, or is that what you call them?
They're both, blood fire shrimp.
Same name.
Yeah, same name. Same thing.
Just want to make sure we're talking about the same thing, because it looked, I saw the video, I thought it looked like
the one he killed was a cleaner. That was a skunk cleaner.
Yeah, I saw the skunk cleaner.
Yeah.
And he was a big one. He wasn't a small.
My skunk cleaner is the biggest freaking whiskers I've ever seen.
Yeah. So you can imagine it started off looking like the blood one there. They were getting just shorter. And then we started to see him. And what it is, it's the stress of him pulling them around. And then when he killed that one, it was so close, he was actually pulling them out of him. So he was causing injury now. He wasn't just chewing off, antennae. He was actually, he was killing them. Right? So why he did that, I have no idea.
The
right?
whiskers on my shrimps are 4 inches.
4.5 inches long. So he's an 8-inch 8-inch skunk cleaner if you go from end of his whiskers to end of whiskers. He's about to come up the front now.
Absolutely, Tina. That's what that stuff's for. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's one of those weird situations I got to deal with. I'm just like, what the heck is wrong with you, fish? Yeah. He's healthy. You can tell he's.
It's just a bellend.
Yeah, he's just a dick.
There's something wrong with that blue tank because I never seen an aggressive blue tank in my life, and I have had 4 or 5 blue tanks.
Yeah. And it's funny now. People have told me about them getting aggressive with other fish. I get that, territory and everything. But for him to get all bent out of shape about a cleaner, it was like, really? That's your best friend, buddy. Yeah.
I never ever seen a fish go after cleaner whatsoever. Not even my aggressive fish have gone after cleaner.
So
aside from wrasse, I've never seen any kind of tang or herbivore ever go off after cleanup crew.
No, you can't have wrasse with cleaners.
I have wrasse with cleanup, no
Oh, yeah.
problem.
A 6-line you can have. That's good.
Here.
No, I've had filamentus, I've had lubbock's. It really depends. Melanora, you got to when they start to get bigger. But if the shrimp's big, they don't bother. It's this little shrimp you got to watch out for because they'll just take
like
it.
Food.
Yeah, it's just food at that point, right? So
yeah, you'd have big stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome, Tina. Yeah. But no, it's like it's what it is, right? Like, that's why we come in here. Sometimes we'll have an issue that we just don't get, what's going on, right? Mine's simple. One or the other's got to be removed. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of if
the
it's
fastest one is the blue tang.
Yeah.
Late at night, flashlight, and you got him.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'll take a look
Just
for
watch
him.
out for his spines, man. They hurt.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I got stung by mine once, man. My hand hurt for a week.
Really, with a tang?
Yeah, they got a poison spine just by the gills.
Oh, I did not know they had a poison spine. There you go.
Man, it hurt me bad.
Good to know.
Yeah, I do know.
I don't think I'm gonna end up doing any kind of tangs or anything like that in the new tank, in the 100-gallon. I think I'm just gonna stick with a good amount of wrasse.
Yeah, wrasses seem to be easier to deal with, and they deal with their own problems, whereas tangs tend to get weird. And let's face it, we're talking about an open water fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're almost pelagic in nature, right? So, and pelagic means open water for those that don't know. So they only bed down on reefs at night, right? To hide and keep themselves safe. So
they like to swim.
Yeah, they want to swim. So that's where the 180-gallon rule came from, the 6-foot tank. And then when you realize, well, that's still not big enough. If you really want to get technical, even a 12-foot tank, you're still going to wind up with a tank that's got a mental condition of some sort.
Yeah, the best tank for a tank is actually a square one so you can swim around.
Yeah. Yeah, they do seem to like cubes, eh?
Yeah, they like to swim around things. Maybe I have a bad memory, so I don't remember what they swim around. Like a goldfish.
Oh, bubbling. But yeah, it's what it is.
Yeah.
How's your tank doing, Tina?
Actually,
Yep, go on.
Plans for the new tank wise, as far as layout, I think I'm gonna keep something fairly similar to what I have now.
Right.
Probably the left side structure, I'm gonna go with a little bit more arm, a little bit more depth on it.
Yep.
But I'm gonna probably put the Durasa clam right where the green Duncan is in the scape, and just let it grow and just have it, full 2 foot if I'm lucky to have it grow that big, but a full size clam in the tank.
Cool.
Do A-cans and whatever else on the right side, and then SPS and other LPS lower end on the lower side of the tank on the left.
Cool. I'm an SPS killer right now. I can't keep them to save my life. I really can't.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about it. No, I'm not.
It's sitting here right now. Mine is dying off all the time because of the problems.
Barely keeping these digitata and Capricornus alive at this point. So
I'm possibly going to wind up with a couple of new lights. I'll let you guys in on it if it happens, right? You're setting up a seahorse tank now.
Nice. You can get seahorses. I can't get them here.
No, I can here, but I can only get Hippocampus erectus.
Yeah.
So.
They don't even import seahorses to Sweden anymore.
I wish I could get I would love to have cuttlefish.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Joel's gonna get back on. We had major flooding here, and his parents lived right by the river, so they had a sandbag wall 6 feet high to keep the water out. And it worked. It worked. They actually managed to save their house. So then they had to spend the day removing 3,000 sandbags.
Yikes.
So yeah, he's a little tired, and he's had his share of work today. The last couple of weeks. So, but he's got them. The last one did die. For anybody who did catch that short stream that I tried to get him in, and unfortunately my computer wasn't up to the task at that point. But he's going to get another batch within the next, he thinks, about month and a half. and he's going to do them direct again this time instead of doing them through a shop out west there. So he should get them in direct, immediately get them in, and hopefully get about half a viable batch out of 30 this time. So he'll wind up with about 15 of them. And yeah, if he gets that going again, I'm getting him back on. Right? Let's talk cuddles, man, because people love cuttlefish.
Yeah, I don't think it's something that's actually ever going to be in the cards, but it's one of those, like, theoretically that would be totally awesome. I don't know, the clams have really caught my eye. I would love to actually do a full, start to propagate and have a system full of clams to grow out and enjoy.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
My next tank is going to be. That's going to be a forever tank. Never going to change it.
Well, you'll definitely want to be on Seahorse Whisperer's stream tonight, Tina, because she's going to have the two dwarf experts in tonight. And I'm going to be helping her out, and as Colby will be there just to make sure things go smooth, but she seems to have it mostly worked out. Hardest and erectus should not be allowed in the same sentence. That's true. So true. Yeah. The Queen of Obvious has answered the question we all had, and that's why Tina corrected that right away, I'm sure.
That's because Haley is in a state of mind always.
Yeah. I think you'll do fine, Tina. You're a very OCD reefer. So what?
Sorry.
No,
scratching her ear.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm sitting there going, what?
She's had an ear infection for the last 2 weeks, and she's scratched the backside of her ear open.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's about to get combed again.
Yeah, I'm actually, I got to pick up, you just reminded me I got to stop by the pet store and pick up the, thankfully, Advantage has now gone out of patent, so they can no longer, or is that the word I'm looking for? Generic versions are allowed to be made now, and there's a company in Canada that makes a generic version that comes in a proper 4-pack without being $80. It's like $22. And I have 3 cats, so if one doesn't take very well, I always have one backup dose. I used to have 4 cats. We all know that. That's why my wife got the tattoo with the 4 hearts over the cat. But anyway, it was kind of funny that I caught them the other day, and my female lets me kind of preen her so I can get a look, and I can always tell when it's fleas because I'm on the bottom floor and they sit in the windows. Bing. That's how they get them every time. Right? And it's like, man, like every spring I got to deal with that crap, right?
Yeah. I'll get fleas in the window.
Both my dogs get the shots, and I'm done for 3 months.
Yeah. I'd like to do Revolution, because it also deals with the ear mites really well, but unfortunately, you have to take them in. That's still prescription only. Yeah, so. Like, oh, man, come on.
I think if I were to do the pills, I'd be paying like $60 for 3 months and per dog, and I'm paying I think $45 for the shots, and it lasts for 3 months.
There you go. So but yeah,
I don't
that's
have to remember every month, which is even better.
Exactly. You don't have to remember to do it, right? And actually, what's really cool is because I have hardwood floors for the most part, one dose, it's gone, right? Because they just don't get to come back, and I'll do one more just to do it. What's going on, Nick? How's Aquarium Cabinet Solutions today?
It's Meister Nick.
It's the Nick Meister. Yeah. But
The workaholic.
The workaholic. Yeah, indeed. But there's a guy that might be able to get in on your question. One of them, anyway. And Tina, to go back to what I was talking about, Seahorse Whisperer will be doing a really good stream tonight about dwarf seahorses. So you'll definitely want to check that out. That's going to be on 8:30 her time. So I think
I want to get the seahorse here as well, man, but nobody will order them in.
Yeah, because they're too fragile, right? That's the problem, right?
Die.
Yeah, they have a lot of problems with them.
The trip.
Yeah, and it's I bet you Kelly could probably hook you up, but it would be such a risk for you personally, right?
Oh yes.
And
if you want to get seahorses, you have to probably order 5 or 10 of them, and hopefully get 5 alive if you're lucky.
Oh yeah. Nice. Okay, so sorry, I'm just checking something out here. So, did you want to come into the hangout, Nick, or are you just gonna hang out in the chat, buddy?
Yeah, I told you to link him up.
Oh, did you tell me to link him up? Yeah, I gotta send it to him.
I have to read the chat.
Yeah, link him up, Scotty.
Link him up. No. Screw you guys. It's my stream.
Give me sea horses, Nick.
Yeah.
Drive them over. Come on, do it.
There we go. Got that. Yeah, do it. Do it.
Come on, Nick, do it.
Do it.
I'll be in England in 4 days, Nick. Hook me up.
It always makes me think of Klaus from American Dad. You should kill yourself. Do it. It's like, what? That was like one of the darkest lines in a cartoon ever, right? Like,
you don't dare do it.
and then I love it. Roger's like, why would you do such a thing? Again, I'm German. You know. Right? Like, okay.
It's in my nature.
It's in my nature. I can't help myself.
Kill yourself. You don't dare, you punk.
Send you a link, bud. And yeah, look at that. So he can hook you up, man. I'm telling you. And on Kelly's videos when I was watching them, and I'll probably hit her up about that tonight. Apparently, a 30-gallon tall is like one of the ideal tanks. So a 29-gallon tall, let's be honest. And apparently it has to do with
Yeah, like the Pecco 29s.
Yeah, one of those Pecco 29 talls or Fluval 29s. Hey, Nick, how you doing?
Hey guys, doing good, doing good.
Yeah, there we go.
Working hard, as always.
So, Cruz is a little AFK for us, and we were discussing a problem that Kuhaku, there we go, or there we go.
Cruz has been so lazy lately.
Yeah, I know. He's
laying in bed. Lazy bum.
Do anything.
Pampered. Yeah, lazy.
He's a lazy bum now. Just lazy bed.
So what's the problem? What's the issue? What's the query?
Alkalinity spike that I can't explain.
Oh, okay. Big one?
It's gone from, was sitting a week and a half ago, it was at 8.0. When I tested this weekend, it was 8.7. I tested today, it's at 10.9.
It went from, 8.7, sorry, I got interrupted by a call. It went from 8.7
in a
to
week and a half, it's in a week and a half, it's gone from 8.0 to 10.9.
Okay, and what's your readings of your calcium and your magnesium? Okay,
so when I tested the original test, calcium was at 430, magnesium was at 1340, and now they are at 410 calcium, 1240 magnesium. pH has been sitting right at 7.95 to 8.
Right.
Salinity's 1.025.
Right. Okay. So you dropped out on the magnesium, raised in the alkalinity, and you've only just touched the calcium a little bit, right?
Yeah, it's dropped by 20.
Yeah. Just bear with me 1 second. Sorry, guys. I'm just grabbing some food.
No, it's okay.
I'm on the road.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Oh, did you go to Dame Judi Dench's Fish and Chips?
Oh, man. Sorry, guys. Yeah, it just sounds like your magnesium's dropped out a bit. How old's the system?
I set the system up back in October.
All right, so it's been there a while, and is all your rock purpled up and stuff?
Well, my rock was purple so full story in the tank. I bought the tank a year and a half ago from another hobbyist locally. He had the purple rock already. Was it like the Reef 2.0
purple, or was it?
Yeah, the painted purple rock, not Coraline, but painted purple rock.
Right. Okay.
And I had that in a 36 gallon, everything except for the sand in October to this 40 breeder.
Right. And have you got corals in there now?
Yeah.
Okay. So what sort of corals have you got in there? How long have they been in for?
Yeah, I've had a torch, a hammer, a frog spawn, and what's it called? Anemone, and a couple cans since the system's been up in October, and since then I've had a couple birds nests come and go. I've got a digitata that's hanging in, Capricornus that's hanging in, and they've been in the tank for about 2 to 3 months.
Right.
They started to RTN, and I would cut back and frag it and put it all over the tank to see where it was actually going to grow.
Right. Are you getting good growth
as well? No, I really have not seen any growth almost at all, except for really just my torch has put on a head or two since October, and my Acan Echinata has put on a couple heads. It had a really big growth spurt for about 2 months, and then has ceased again. I also have a Durasa clam, a 6-inch Durasa in the tank.
Oh, how long has the Durasa been in there for?
3 months.
3 months, and has that grown a bit since you've had it?
There is a little bit of a growth line on it, but not too much.
Right. I'm just trying to establish some history. Yeah, normally you get upsets in your alkalinity, usually through to growth spurts, things establishing out, and then absorption as well. So one of the things with rock, when you first get rock in there, it'll kind of bed in and bed down, and then it'll start sucking up like magnesium. And if it starts to calcify in terms of like coralline algae, that you'll notice a big difference in your magnesium drops, and to some extent calcium as well with that. What's your dosing products? What products are you dosing, and what's your dosing?
BRS 2-part.
Right. Okay.
Calcium, magnesium, alkalinity. I also put in 1 teaspoon per 5 gallons of Kalkwasser into my ATF.
Right. Okay. And are you noticed any precipitation within the sump on the glass or on your pumps and stuff like that?
No, not really.
Any calcification or anything like that?
No, I haven't.
No.
I scraped all the coralline algae off the glass 3 weeks ago, and nothing has grown since then.
Right. Yeah. From what you're saying, I would just say there's maybe your clam, some of your corals may be establishing a little bit now, and I would say maybe that they're just starting to absorb a bit. So just try and I'd maybe dilute your alk out, try and just base it out just with water changes, and then realign your parameters with your magnesium, your calcium, and then your alkalinity should then come in good order. But what I'd recommend, what salt do you use? Do you do water changes?
I was doing water, so I also had a issue. If I hadn't had the ICP test, I would have known. I had an issue with high levels of tin and slightly levels of aluminum.
Right.
So
do you
after
use aluminium?
Go ahead.
Do you use an aluminium-based GFO, an aluminium-based phosphate remover media?
I don't use any phosphate remover at all.
Right. Okay.
I just run skimmer, an algae turf scrubber, and then I have some pond matrix in the sump and some miracle mud in the sump.
Right. Okay. Just trying to work out where the tin it can come in from a few different things.
I figured out what the tin. The tin was a rusty light bracket. I removed it. I did 6 5-gallon water changes over 6 weeks, and I have not since that was done, which was about a month ago. So I've been about a month since my last water change.
Right. Okay. Are you breaking or is it me?
I might be. I'm not sure.
No, it's sounding okay here. Yeah, it's not. I think it's probably just a little glitchy.
Right. Okay. No worries, because I know I'm on the road, so I don't know whether it's me. But I would say in this situation, because you've got nothing major going on, you haven't got major calcification, your rock is pretty well established, so it might be purpling up a little bit over the purple. You might be, when you've harvested the coralline algae out, I presume you scraped it. If you scraped it off, then you probably released spores, out into the water. So that could have congregated into your rock. And then that now might be latching on and developing within your rock, right? So that could explain a little bit of your uptake. With your clam, if that's going through a bit of a growth spurt, that'll absorb magnesium as well. So that might drop your magnesium out a little bit. So I'd say with this one, I'd say just do some baseline water changes. So try and get a salt that has good base levels, not elevated out levels, and just really base it out. The reason I like to, in this situation, the reason I like to do that is that if you can base your levels out, my go-to salt at the moment is the ATM hot salt. Aquavitro salinity also is another good one.
Yeah, I'm using Red Sea Blue Bucket.
Yeah, the Red Sea, I'll be honest, I'm not a particular fan of Red Sea salts. Yeah, they're generally elevated, and that's really going against what you want to do. They're great if you've got a huge amount of corals and everything's flourishing and you get an elevated salt like that, it's going to give you an uptake straight away. But
the Blue Bucket,
generally, the way
when I've tested the actual batch, whenever I make it up,
right,
7.5 DK8, 420 calcium, and 1240
is what? So
magnesium.
Sorry, just go over the calcium and magnesium again.
Magnesium's 1240, calcium's 420.
Right. I'd say check out either the ATM hot salt or the Aquavitro salinity. And what you'll probably do is you'll look at the levels and you'll think, are they a little bit low? But what it allows you to do, it allows you then to use your two-part. And if you're dosing things like fuel, and I mean, you got the Miracle Mud, which is adding trace elements as well. But if you're dosing things like fuel for amino acids and, with the strontium and stuff like that, it'll allow you to bring things up to your levels using products that you want to use rather than
control
what's in the bucket. Because I don't want to slander anyone, but I'm not convinced that the ingredients that go into the buckets to give you those levels are always a high quality pure ingredients. Right. So I'd rather not have them in and then add the products I want to have to give me those levels in the way I want to do it. And I usually find doing it that way, for some reason, you get a better stability with your parameters as well because of the quality and the purity of the ingredients you use. So my recommendation would be maybe to have a look at that. The thing is, when you're getting big swings like that and you get escalations of alkalinity and things like that, is to try and readjust it. If you try and look at the numbers and try and bring your numbers in, you'll find that you may get into like a seesaw effect where you're adding on one and then the other changes, and you're adding on this one and the other changes. And the easiest way to eradicate that swinging is just to base it out. Even if you just
an equal level.
Yeah, exactly. If you base it out with water changes, then you're bringing it down into an equal level, and then that gives you a good, strong foundation that build back up. And it's not going to negatively affect anything, because when we measure, when we do our tests and we measure, we're always measuring the excess left over to then calibrate and gauge an uptake, right? So it's not that a coral needs the magnesium to be 1380, for example, to then grow. It'll still grow if your magnesium's at 1320. All we're doing is measuring what's available. And if we can get the ratios correct of those numbers, then that's where it affects the alkalinity, because the way everything acts as a catalyst one for the other. So that's what I would do. So there's no major there's no major things that you need to do, really. It's just really base it out and then just slowly build it back up using your two-part.
Alrighty, I can do that.
There you go.
You got the lecture now?
Yep. Let's go get some more salt.
Tom, you're an awful man. You're an awful husband, buddy.
I like Nick.
Yeah.
I think it's good. That's why I don't say anything, because I think everything you say is good.
Well, you know, here's the thing, right? Come in here. That's one tack to take. It's not a bad one. I don't disagree with any of that. And actually, I go and learn something today. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, what a lot of us don't understand. When you're testing, you're only testing what's left over, what's available.
Sorry, guys.
Exactly.
I was really roboting there.
Everything you test for just what's left in the tank.
Yeah, exactly. When you say you were roboting, what were you singing sticks? You know?
Yeah, I think it was me. I just rebooted a bit onto the Hangout.
No, that's all right.
So I think it was me.
Oh, there you go. All right. Domo no arigato, Mr. Roboto. You're all good.
But yeah, for me, you're always testing what's available because that's what's in the water, right? Because it's like, you know, when people say, "Oh, I've got no nitrates or phosphates yet," I've got a whole load of green hair algae, and it's not that you're not producing; it's just there's nothing there left to get a gauge or a measure on. Yeah, but it's being used as it's being created. Yeah, it's being used as it's being created. So it's not that you're not creating it; it's just that you can't. There's no excess to measure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I always think the same way with, you know, a lot of the parameters. It's not that the coral needs it to be in a certain place in terms of, you know, I mean, in terms of pH, yeah, because obviously that's an acidic, you know, an alkaline reading, or it tells you whether it's acidic or alkaline. And things like temperature, obviously, you need those to be in certain places. But when you're measuring things like the amount of calcium or the amount of magnesium in the system, what you're measuring is what the redundancy, what hasn't been used. So yeah, that's probably the best way I can kind of explain it, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But I would watch your crab, watch your clam, and possibly your rock, because I'm thinking that over the next couple of weeks, what you'll see, although you're not getting the coralline algae growing back on the glass, you'll probably notice patches appearing on the rock as that's take. Was all right? Did you scrape it off with a blade or something like that?
Yes, I scraped it off the back glass with a blade. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I'm thinking that's probably seeded within your rock now into areas that it hasn't been before, and it's probably you know, filling out holes and stuff, and it's probably growing there. So that's going to probably take a bit of an uptake. But a good thing to do is just go on Google, you know, coralline algae, and read into how it grows, what it utilizes, and all that. And that might give you a gauge then of other things that it might be, you know, you might start to notice to getting depleted slightly in the system.
Okay, I can definitely do that.
Yeah, cool.
That's good.
Oh, I love.
What was Tom saying? Tom was wanting some seahorses or something?
Yeah, you want seahorses.
I've been looking for seahorse for 4 years.
What type of seahorses you want? Like Rydell's or dwarf seahorses or what?
I actually don't know. I've just been looking for seahorse for a long time, and I was every LFS from miles around here, but nobody can get them into Sweden.
Right.
You can get them over here. Can you bring them back with you, Tom? Can you come over?
I can't bring it on a flight, no. Yeah, they're not allowed inside the plane.
Couldn't smuggle them in?
Yeah, if you can hide them from the scanner, yes.
I've got a really good supplier in Denmark, and they do breeding there as well.
Are they Hippocampus erectus?
No idea. No idea.
Well, here's the thing, guys. Like I said, and that is Kelly, my seahorse whisperer.
Right.
We've been helping her out. She's streaming tonight. Now she's going to be talking to dwarf seahorses. She's got two that are doing that tonight, which is, you definitely, if you want to get into dwarfs, tonight's the night to look at it, because these guys are going to tell you exactly how hard that is.
The dwarf is the hardest one.
They are the hardest one because they eat way more than a mandarin even eats when it comes to live food. Right. But that being said, they'll also talk about other, you know, Hippocampus erectus, the most popular ones, the hardiest, which is like Tina was talking about getting into. So yeah, you know, drop in if you can take a nap, Tom, and then sedate the wife with some NyQuil. Get up. Right.
Promoting drugging your wife.
I am not promoting anything. I'm I'm.
Just
Bring on the drugs, man.
Yeah. Why does this taste like cold medicine? Yeah. Why is my mint
Just
julep?
drink and be quiet.
No, honey, that's not NyQuil. That's a mint julep. That's all you got to tell her, right?
You
So
can
just
drink it or you can take it in a handkerchief.
you
Your
know
choice.
exactly. So anyway,
house is to learn about her hobby.
no. You got no. Here, honey. No. I swear, it's fine. It's good. It's good.
Drink it.
It's
Come on.
good.
I
Drink
can
it.
drink some too. Maybe later.
No.
We're using the cloth. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay.
But no, she'll be on tonight, Tom. If you want to catch that, it's going to probably be pretty in line with that, and maybe she might have some people that like Nick there that you can work with and get some in legally, right? And get yourself a seahorse tank.
You can get them legally here. That's the problem. But nobody wants to order them in because
No.
the death rate of it.
That's really weird because Hippocampus erectus, I can get shipped cross country here, and that's much further. And get them in, and they have not arrive alive, but they pretty much guarantee it that as long as everything follows the way it should, they should be alive, kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like any problems, they'll replace them, kind of thing. But you can only get Hippocampus erectus, which is the main. That's the one everybody knows, right?
Yeah. I can talk to my airline and see what they say, but
Yeah. Well, then
if
again,
if I have baggage in the cargo area, that will be no problem. But I only take carry on this time.
right. No, we'll have to see. We'll see what we can pull off. You know, we got your back. I'm sure Nick will look into it for you.
We can see.
Yeah, I'll yell at Nick a lot because you got to remind Nick a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm always busy. But
Yeah.
yeah, if I can make a call, they're only in Denmark, so I don't know whether that.
And then I can drive over to
get
me.
it to you. Yeah.
It's only a 4-hour drive from Denmark to my house.
Can you pick them up?
Yeah.
There you go.
Hmm?
Day trip.
Yeah, let me make a call because they might let me have that. I've known them a long time.
Just have to hide from Sweden.
And you got to get yourself ready.
Come on, hands on your back, you boss.
And I'll tell you,
they'll give you the CITES permits and stuff that go along with them. So as long as it's not illegal to
the
send
police at
them
the
to
border
Sweden,
is
then-
super know what it is.
Yeah, but if you got official documentation, I doubt they'll.
that just skips it.
Read.
Yeah, skips the issue.
What's this? Is that wrong language for that?
Just speak English and go. Hey, listen, it's just
English.
speak English. Yeah,
Border patrol.
or speak Canadian. It's got Tim Hortons and bear claws, eh? So, yeah. But and to remind Nick, I got all excited yesterday, Nick. I got a package, and I thought, oh hey, no, it was my headset from Logitech that they replaced. So,
Yeah, I need to grab a hold of Antonio for you. Let me do that this afternoon.
and are you gonna set me up? We were talking about it with the that new product you were talking about. I don't want to go into it because we're live, so.
You might have to text me that because I've forgotten what you're talking about.
It's maybe this will help. It's Australian, I think.
Ah, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Let me speak to that guy as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
remind him in 5 minutes, Craig, because it lost again.
I'll be hitting them up
No,
probably
that
for the next
one-
3 days.
That one you might need to wait for until it's like
Official.
over
Yeah.
there because well the thing is because they got to get a big container shipped. I think it's going to be available in about a month's time, but
Cool.
that's what they said.
Well, that'll work out too, address-wise, because I'll be moving in about a month and a bit time. So
Right.
that'll work out
Perfect.
really well with the new tank and everything. You know, well, not new tank, but hopefully new Rockscape and all the other stuff. So yeah, but no, it's definitely been it's been an exciting month, and it's going to get more exciting for me, unfortunately. But it's been you know, if you look today, both streams, I got 2 cameras streaming, nice high quality. Things are looking good. Hey, what's going on, TMG? How are you?
Yeah,
I got another new subscriber, Method. Hey, Method, thank you for subscribing. Always appreciate it.
That's a good name.
There's the Mud Skippers. There's the Mud Skippers.
We need to get TMG in here on the hangout.
The only one that wants to talk about sticks.
Yeah, that's all right. You can talk about sticks. I'm a big euphilia guy, so I can go on forever and a day. Yeah, that's for sure. So,
You can get over here and say my sticks.
well, TMG's just saying that he's saying hey, and hey, Method, again, thanks for subscribing. So always appreciate it, buddy. I'll give you a link. I think I got a link. No, I don't. I gotta go look for one. Give me a sec.
Yeah, I think it's still at the top.
I think it is.
Nick.
Yeah.
Hypo salinity or copper?
Ooh. Do you need to take them out of the tank?
I'm moving in a few months, in a few weeks, sorry.
Okay.
And obviously I'm going to restart everything. I'm not interested in moving things from one to another. I'm just going to restart.
Oh, really? Why not?
Pardon?
Why not?
I want to change all the rockscape, get rid of all the sand, everything. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is that for me, I wish we had new books, because some of the books that are available are so old now.
Yeah.
I wish somebody would sit down and write a new modern method theory reefing book. I really do. A lot of the ones that I read are full of old traditional methods, which to me are just so out of date. But my big thing is you got to look at the animal, right? Now there's two or three things you have to consider about fish. Let's just look at fish. One is their environmental conditions in which they need to live. So like us, we need oxygen, we need gravity, we need these things. So you can recreate that in any tank, right? You can get it to the right salinity and the right temperature and the right oxygen content. You can do that, right? But the other thing is obviously sustenance as well. Everything needs fuel and food. So you can feed it, and it will eat the food. And so in body, it's healthy. It'll eat the food. It'll get the nutrition its body it needs, and it'll be in an environment which it can live. So the last thing then is its psychotic state of mind, in its own head. Its behavior traits, what makes it feel safe, what makes it feel endangered, what makes it want to eat. And one of the things I've always found with fish is the sooner you can get them into a natural environment, the healthier the fish and the quicker the fish is to recover and all of that, because it feels comfortable. It can hide behind a rock. It's swimming around other fish. It's swimming around corals. It's in an environment. It's in a natural environment that it's used to. So for me, quarantining the fish, to an extent, you're removing one of the three things that it needs, unless you create a natural sort of reef as a quarantine system. For example, you have rocks in there and stuff in there, no coral, so that you can run hypersalinity and stuff that isn't going to affect corals. You can, for example, I don't know why people put lights on quarantine systems. I wouldn't, because it's not just that. It's you're creating. If when you're sick, you want to hunker down and you just want to chill out, right? And when you've got lighting, you're encouraging the fish to swim and all of that. When at some point in its respite, it just needs to rest, So with quarantine systems, if your fish are healthy and it's just a preventative thing, I'm not a big believer in quarantining in that sterile tank, no substrate, a piece of pipe, like we hold fish in. Purchase. I'm not a big fan of that, because it's not a natural environment. I much rather would set up the tank and get them in as soon as possible.
I was steering more for the hypersalinity, because I do have it in my system. I've lived for ages with ick management. Yeah, obviously. So, and I don't like copper. I know everyone says copper, but what it does to fish long term is.
No, I mean, the thing is that pretty much in any system, and I know there's a lot of debate and there's a lot of discussion about this. Yeah. Pretty much in any system, unless you've got a fully established system, and then you know that there's no ick in there, and you're not planning to add anything else that could cross-contaminate, then you can say that you've got a sterile, no parasite, situation.
Yeah.
But for the majority of people that are building a reef up, because generally what happens is that you build your reef up, you get it to where you want to be, and then guess what? You knock it all down and get another tank, right?
Yeah.
So not many people are in that situation where they're not adding stuff. And whenever you add something, there's always a risk of bringing ick in, whether it's on a coral, a snail, a fish, whatever, right? So I think rather than everybody, a lot of people focus on how best to quarantine a fish once it shows signs and symptoms of ick, and usually they panic quarantine. I think there's a lot you can do to condition fish, and again, this is a big debate. Can you condition a fish to be resilient against ick? I know Steve Rotterstube, I was watching him the other day, a couple of weeks ago, talking about white spot. It was a whole stream dedicated to white spot, and I know he's been very successful in his methods combating white spot. And Steve was kind of saying, okay, so now you've got, you think you can condition your fish to be resilient against white spot. Well, that's just like saying that you've got a very well prepared steak, for the white spot to eat. It's still going to eat away at it. It's still going to get to it.
Yep.
I agree to some extent with what he was saying. I do, because I've got a lot of respect for Steve, and he's not wrong in what he's saying. But I akin that to kind of like a mosquito bite. You might get bitten a couple of times on the arm, and so what? It's not very comfortable for a while. You get a bit of swelling, and then it starts to heal up. Your white blood cells go to it, starts to do its work. You might get some cream, some antibacterial cream, so you don't get secondary infection and so on. And after a couple of weeks, you heal up, right? But get 100 mosquito bites, or 200 or 300 or 1,000 mosquito bites, suddenly you're in a very different situation.
Yep.
Of course,
So I would say...
welcome to Sweden, Nick.
So I would say definitely you can't... For me, with reefing, we sometimes speak on very broad terms, and we brush stroke things. And I think that's where we have to be more careful, because what are you talking about? Are you talking about every now and again, one or two of your fish might have a few bits of spot on them, you think, oh, they've got white spot? Or is it that they look like they've been, dipped in sugar or salt?
It's not to the velvet look. It's not to the velvet look.
So then I would say if your fish are pretty resilient to it, where they'll get one or two on them, but they drop off and it doesn't go into a full-scale infestation, then what's the worry?
Well, I always think... Go on.
I was just going to say, what's the worry? Because it's like almost wrapping your toddler, your 3 or 4-year-old, in cotton wool. Because your kid is going to fall over and scrape its knee and bang its elbow, and it's going to get a cut and a bruise, right?
Yeah.
If you don't want it ever to have a cut or a bruise, then you could wrap it up in cotton wool, knowing that if it did fall down, it's never going to get a graze, it's never going to get a bruise.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about, parasites and white spot to an extent.
Yeah.
That if it's 1 or 2 spots every now and again, and the fish carries on eating, it carries on swimming, it carries on growing, it might not be very happy while it's got a couple of spots in it, and it might flick a little bit, and it's annoying and it flicks a little bit. But then but through the cycle of white spot, when it drops off the fish and then leaves it the hell alone, then it's all okay again. And it's the same thing when you get a mosquito bite, it's itchy as hell, right? And you want to scratch it for a bit. But then after that stage goes away and it starts to heal, then you go, oh, thank God for that. It's not annoying me anymore. But then to take that fish out of its environment, where it knows the rockscape, it knows the light cycles, it's swimming around, it has its hierarchy within the other stock that it has, and it eats when you feed it, and it's happy enough generally. Why upset all of that?
Well, looking at
for something that is only going to annoy it for a short space of time.
Right. So looking at like Michael Aaron's Achilles, I don't know how it's doing. He hasn't spoke to it, but it was coated, sugar coated. You know what I mean? And still eating, still being happy. So it's kind of that. My concern with that was, and this is, and I mentioned it, is you got to realize you're talking. He's got hundreds of spots on him. Those hundreds of spots are going to be even crazier at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
like
the thing is, yeah, I mean, the thing is with white spot as well, if you look into it a bit, you've got the drain on the fish's, general well-being. So,
right.
Other secondary things happen. When you're under the weather, what happens, your metabolism is to shot. Your natural defense is, your immunity is to shot. All of those things. So you have to try and counteract those to help the fish bear through. Another thing I actually like to do if I'm in a situation where I think I need to intervene is our freshwater dip. And the reason for that is because to an extent, deep boring parasite, you're not going to be able to do too much about that. No. But anything that's just landed on the fish that's working its way through, you're going to be able to do something about those so that you're alleviating slightly.
Yeah.
The thing is, what we actually see with the human eye, the damage is already done.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you notice it's getting progressively slightly more, then at some point I say, right, intervene now. Don't wait until it's sugar-coated. Intervene now. Do a couple of regime of freshwater dips, because what you're doing, anything like you said that's landed but we can't yet see because it hasn't done the damage yet, you're going to prevent that from damaging.
See, my main reasoning with it all is because at the moment I've got a 4 2x2. I want to be going to an 8 2x2.
Right.
Yeah. Whenever I add a new fish, it's powder coated. Yeah, it's within a couple of weeks they've attacked. Shall we say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
and then I feed and feed.
Right. Well, this is another kind of way to look at that. When you introduce a new fish, what's happening to that fish? It's coming into an environment. For one, it's been shipped. It's not going to be very happy. Depending on how long it's been in the local fish store, it's going to have recovered and settled a bit. Yeah. Again, it's not going to be in a natural environment within that store because it's pretty much going to be in a glass box.
Yep.
So to me, it's still under a certain level of stress.
Of course.
When you then bring that fish into your system and you say, well, it's every new fish. So what's the difference between the fish that are already there and the new fish? There's got to be a difference, right? For it to affect one and not the others, right? Yeah. So what if you then look at that and you say, okay, so what is the condition of this new fish? Is it because it was fasted during shipping and it hasn't yet recovered on its feeding and its organs and stuff have been fasted for a while? So it needs to be brought back up so that as that food goes into the fish, it's getting back and it's not only using all of the nutrients and the minerals and the vitamins of that food to go straight to the major organs, but it's also at a stage where the food is being utilized for natural defenses and slime coating and other things that it needs it for as well. The less important things. So how long has the fish been kept in that store? How, what's the condition of the fish in that point of view? The other thing is when it comes into your tank, immediately it's going to be under a certain level of stress because it's in a new system. It doesn't know where it's going. It hasn't got a figure on the environment yet, where the safe places are, where the territory is of another fish that you have in that system, that it wanders into its territory and it gets a big get out of here from that fish. So it's going to be in a constant state of stress for a while. And for me, I always see, again, some people disagree with me, but I see a direct correlation between a stressed fish and a fish that's well settled and established in terms of fending off the white spot. So I do believe that there is a certain truth in the idea that immunity and stress coat and things like that has a big role to play. And a fish that's stressed loses its slime coat. It loses its immunity. It drops. So if you think about that, then look for something you can do about that. So again, there is products out there. I always talk about ATM because I find that they do a range of really good products, but they have Paradigm. The Paradigm it has vitamin C in it. It has aloe vera in it. The way it works, it covers surface areas and makes them slightly tacky. So the reason I use that on dosing to the tank, and also I put it in the bag when I buy a new fish, so it's going to work on that fish. It goes in to the bucket while I'm acclimatizing that fish, is because it stimulates the fish when it doesn't want to produce slime coat. It stimulates the fish's immunity in a situation it doesn't really want to. And that, since I've been using that product, I find I get a lot less issues with introducing fish into systems. So then if you think about it that way, is there something else you can do other than quarantine? Yeah. Because to keep the white spot out of your system is going to be really, I think, is really difficult. Yeah. So
my way of how I was thinking about doing it, personally, I'm taking everything on board, but I'm just sharing what my idea was of it this morning. Was I stripped the tank down, of what I've got already. I have my other tank set up already. Do you know what I mean? I collaring it up. It's been rot scaped, everything like that. I have it full for salinity, and then bring it when the fish are in there. I start bringing it down gradually. Yeah. A hypo salinity tank, at least, I think at maximum probably about 15 weeks. Corals, I put into a temporary frag tank and fallow them out. Yeah. And go that way. And then every fish that I get afterwards, I then put into a same sort of system, but a different system, and hypersalinity them down and then bring them up. Yeah, yeah. No, I think you're right. If you're going to do it that way and your quarantine system isn't going to be a square glass box, you know, if you're going to do it that way and then hypo until you're pretty sure you've eradicated anything that any of the fish could have carried over, and then your system's brand new, and then you leave or set up or leave that in place for any new fish or any new corals and all of that, and you're happy to, you know, go the duration beyond which the white spot could live for on a coral, for example. Yeah. Then that's a really kind of robust way of making sure that your display stays free, you know, white spot free. It's a really good way of doing it.
Yeah, remember that big argument I had, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, though, I always think it's worthwhile trying to hone your skills in, okay, my fish has got white spot. If something managed to break through your, you know, first defense, second defense, third defense,
even
have a fourth defense. Yeah. That's it.
We'll have it when we wake up in the morning, we see something. If hands need to go in the tank, they'll go in the tank. We're not awake yet, but hands will go in the tank to sort something. Like whether it's a rock falling over or it's a snail upside down, or you're trying to tell your crab to fucking get off the snails.
So true.
I would say for me, that's the perfect scenario. If you've got two tanks other than your main display that you can set up and you can run at hypo, and you've got the patience to run that like in that way, so that you're not in any rush to get your main tank sorted and populated, then that's probably one of the best ways to do it. Copper for me is I'd rather do the hypo and then take my chances after that. Another thing,
I get that it kills it, but it's the long-term effects. I know the short-term effects are great, but the long-term effects, there's too many white papers on it now.
I mean, the other thing as well with the hyposalinity, don't forget, do you understand the role in which or how the fishes work in the terms of like why freshwater fish are different from saltwater fish? I know saltwater fish got salt, but do you know how the fish have evolved?
It's about the oxygen intake, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. So then if you consider that, another good thing to do in your low salinity, your hyposalinity tank would be to bubble that tank.
It would be naturally bubbled anyway,
Yeah, because then whatever water's passing through its gills, it's going to be able to get more. You know, it's going to be more available for it because it's going to be in a higher concentration.
What I was thinking of is, usually I'm on now a 6-hour stage of a night for bubbling. Yeah. But what I was thinking is rather than shut it off completely, still do the 6 hours. Yeah. Have it on a trickle throughout the rest of the day.
Yeah, you can do. I mean, just watch I mean, I think it'd be difficult to get to a point of oxygen saturation using an air pump. You'd have to be into compressors and really get into some nano-sized bubbles to get a true oxygen saturation. But
you know, like the wooden blocks, you can get it where you get just one small stream come up.
Yeah.
That's literally all I'm talking about coming.
Yeah, no, I think you'd struggle to get oxygen saturation with an air stone anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. But if your tank's smaller, I wouldn't say, you know, like bubble 24 hours a day. You know, but I'd go, you know, increase it, but I'd go a little bit steady with it. Don't go overboard with it. I don't think you need to.
No.
But no, that's the only thing to consider is if you're going to change something, always look into why it's there in the first place.
Of course,
because your animals are all
purposes.
Because your animals are always going to evolve to the environment, right? So the fact that saltwater fish are in salt water, well, physically, what difference does that make to the fish? Have they evolved to like breathe or, you know, whatever? Because the salt affects things differently, and if they have, which we know if they have, then you need to counteract that. If you're going to remove one of the things within its environment, like the salt, you know, why do we always go for 1.026 or 36 parts of salt if we don't have to? Well, because there's a physical effect on the fish if we don't, you know. So you have to look at what that does, why it does, and then counteract any negatives.
Even put it simply, look at different air stones for freshwater and for marine. There's a reason why you have to have wooden ones. We don't have to, but we have wooden ones to produce the micro bubbles.
And it depends on what you're doing as well, because you can increase oxygen within a body of water by having really big bubbles that don't create nano bubbles that then dissolve into water. And the reason you're doing that is because you're creating turbulence. As the bubbles rise through the water, you're creating turbulence, and turbulence helps
the waterfall effect, isn't it?
Exactly.
Waterfall effect.
So so there's like two approaches to it. One is that you are directly inputting oxygen by having nano bubbles and those dissolving into the water, so therefore increasing the oxygen levels, or you're creating turbulence that then helps the oxygen the water to hold oxygen.
Creating turbulence is more about gas exchange, more on the gas exchange range of adding oxygen.
You know what I mean? And we've talked at length about saturation point. And for everyone to hit that, it's a lot more than you think it is. If you hit it early, let's sake of argument say that somehow, you know, when you do a reading for oxygen level, you stop, and you know it just stops. That does then lead to there's something else going on that's using that up and stopping it from increasing, right? So if let's say you're trying to hit, I forget the numbers, 8. And you're stopped at 6, something is soaking up that 2 parts, right? And then you have to look at what it is. It could be there's too much. It could be hydrogen sulfide.
You could have a bacteria bloom.
You could have a huge bacteria. There you go. Thank you. Right.
I mean,
but even something simple like surface movement that could withhold.
It could. Yep. You could. Yep.
That can stop it.
Yep, you could be spraying stuff in your house and not realize that crap you're spraying around is now coating that tank. Even though you're agitating it, it's now created a surface film that it's got to work its way through. So, you know, you try and explain to people, like, overall, best practices is all we can do, right? You know, when it comes to ick, you know, and you know, Nick will tell you, like, I'm one of those people like, oh, geez, I can never get away from it. Because I did the Steve Rotter thing. I got really good at dealing with it and telling people how to deal with it. And, you know, I'm of both camps. I'm not going to sit there and tell you to tear down your reef. That's a horrendous thing to do. You know what I mean? If you can safely get the fish out without agitating the living hell out of your system, go for it. But if you take him out, the ick's already there. You know, that's what I tell people. Like, it's not a tear down unless you can, right? If you can do it and it's not going to, you know, like a new system. It's not going to make a big difference to a new system. But an established system, a lot of people will go for the support method. They'll support the fish through it. and hopefully you have enough water volume. And this is what I've been telling people, like, you come to me, you got a 30-gallon tank, oh, I don't want to tear it down. Why?
Yeah.
See, the other interesting thing as well is I can't remember the last time I got ick.
Yeah.
And if you talk to reefers, you'll find there's a weird disparity as well. Newcomers to the hobby, if you notice,
Yep.
A lot of them get ick.
Yeah.
More established reefers don't tend to suffer from ick. Generally.
They can maintain it. They can maintain it.
Yep.
So you kind of have to look at, well, why is that then? What are the new hobbyists?
Oh, you cut out, Nick. There you go.
Guys, or what are the seasoned hobbyists doing that the new hobbyists aren't doing?
Right.
And I would see, this is the other thing that goes into my theory regarding not putting your hands in your tank, leaving the fish alone, to a certain extent, and things like that. Because if you think about it, somebody who's new to the hobby, what are they doing? They're putting their hands in the tank all the time, adding stuff, moving stuff, doing stuff, going up to the tank all the time, and watching the tank all the time. What's this? And they get a bit of green hair out, and they're photographing it and then putting it onto Facebook and saying, "Oh, what's this green stuff?
Oh.
What do I need to do with it?" And whereas a more seasoned hobbyist generally will set it up, let it go. And they're going to add fish and they're going to add coral, but they're not generally going to be messing around too much.
There's no rush. There's no rush.
Yeah, but it's just it's like when you buy a new car, right? You look for every opportunity to go out and drive it.
You want to break that engine in, don't you? You do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I can understand why new hobbyists do the things that they do, because they don't know not to, right? And it's exciting time. But generally, from what I've seen over the years, if you look at it, more seasoned hobbyists don't seem to suffer from ick, where the newer hobbyists tend to talk about it's a lot of the newer hobbyists with ick all the time.
Well, it's a daily issue. You just got to read Facebook. That alone.
Oh, that'll look. Reefer Madness only has, I think, 250, 300 members, and every day I'll get a message every day, and it's like, well, look. There's lots of info on it. Understand the life cycle of it. Support the fish for now. And then it's getting to the basics of it. And I've thought about doing that too, Nick, is writing a small pamphlet novella, right?
Yeah,
and once you have it, this is how you start to deal with it. Just start. This is not professional. This is just experience in dealing with it. And
Yeah, I mean,
can we do one about Aptasia as well? Because I'm sick about seeing
that.
Oh. But the other thing for me as well is that, the fish has got white spot, and what do we do to the fish to get rid of the white spot? Because that's always the thing, right? What do we have to do to the fish, to get rid of it? And the thing is like for me, I can't remember who it was now was saying that. It was one of the sales reps, Andy Lister, who I've known for a long time. He's run stores and all of this. And I was chatting to him once about white spot. And he said, "Do you know what I do, Nick?" I said, "What's that?" He says, "I wrap it up in a black bean liner, give them a feed, and then leave them for a week and a half. Yep. I don't even go near my tank." And there's a lot to be said for that, I think, because generally, especially with a new hobbyist again, they get white spot on the fish. What are they going to do? They're going to go and look at that fish 20 times a day.
Yeah.
They're going to put the face up to the glass 20 times a day. And it either has two effects on the fish. One is that they think they're going to get fed, so they get really excited. And the blood starts flowing, they get pumped up, and they're expending energy. Or the other thing is where they get scared and they go and hide under in the rock and get stressed up.
Yep.
Neither of those two things are good for a fish that's got white spot.
No.
But to the temptation to say, right, I've got a fish that's sick, it's got white spot, I'm not going to look at it, is really difficult because you want to see how it's doing, right?
Yeah,
yep.
It is. We can all admit that one. We can all admit that one. But the best thing is to do is switch the lights off, make sure there's nothing that can startle the fish, and leave it alone. Let nature take its course sometimes.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, but it's the hardest thing to do.
It is
And
hard.
that's another thing is
it's
like,
hard.
and that's why I think a lot of seasoned hobbyists will be kind of like almost of the opinion, because over the years that they've been in the hobby, they've bought stuff, they've lost stuff, they've fragged stuff, the stuff's died, stuff's bleached, stuff has gone wrong. So to a point, a seasoned hobbyist will go, it's got white spot. Okay, I'll do this, do this, and then, like you said, if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And they'll generally just leave it alone because it's nothing new, right?
Yeah.
Where when you're fairly new to the hobby, it's like, oh my God, I don't want it to die. I don't want it to die. So you're up watching it. Oh, what should I do? What should I do? And the worst thing is then you get people saying, oh, I'll catch it and put it in quarantine. So you go in with a net chasing it.
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't catch it. I'll try again tomorrow. And it's like, well, take all your.
I'd run if someone come after me with a net. I'd run.
Well, exactly. That's the thing, right?
Yep.
So I think you got to get that fine balance between, do you condition the fish and try and just leave it the heck alone? Or is it at the point where you do need to intervene, otherwise you're going to lose the fish?
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm saying don't hypo, don't copper, don't stick it in a glass box with no substrate, no rock. All I'm saying is that
I didn't mean I'm going bare bottom. I mean I'm doing a fresh setup, fresh salt. Obviously, none of it's going to be live. All of it's going to be dead.
No, I agree. I think if there was a way that I would prescribe, like you're saying, to set up a system or to move a tank, and you've got white spot in that system that's existing, I would say the way you want to do it, Tony, is probably the belt and braces way of doing it for sure. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, starting fresh and keeping it out.
Even for new fish that I'll be adding to that system, the 4 2x2 will be the hypo quarantine tank.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and just
obviously go on the rule of thumb.
Pretty much what you're talking about then is your existing system. You're just going to make it hypo while you set the other system up. So nothing's really going to change in there except probably moving your coral to a different tank.
Exactly.
But everything else is just going to stay exactly the same, and then you're going to slowly bring the salinity down, right? Okay. Which again, perfect scenario, really.
All right.
You're not having to transfer fish, not having to catch fish, not having to move fish. So I'd say from what you've said, that's definitely the way I would do it. But at the same time, have a look at the ATM Paradigm product, because when you go in to move all your corals out, chuck a bit of that in after you've done.
Yeah.
So for any undue stretch, you
got it.
Fish at that time.
Secondary.
Because you've got the white spot in there at that time.
We're going to jump in on something too. Hold on, Tony.
Work with corals. Sorry.
No, hold on. Now, the other thing, and I know it was addressed, but I'm not sure you're doing it, and I want to jump on something here because David's got a question in the chat about nitrate reduction. So, secondary thing, are you going to be quarantining your corals and your inverts before you put them in?
Of course, they wouldn't be going into they'd be into the fallow tank.
Right. So, but I'm saying, you got to remember that once you get this new minty fresh system set up, for lack of a better term, right?
Yep.
Everything going in has to be quarantined if you're going to go stringent. You're going to hypo the fish before they go in. If you're going to do your corals, you got to put them in, keep them away for 3 months. You can keep track, and then it's like, well, you're going to constantly be adding stuff. We're not all buying stuff all the time, right? So I don't see the problem. Go ahead.
Once I reach the salinity that I want for hypo salinity, which is I think 1.08, isn't it, Nick?
Yeah, you can go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Even 11 or 12 is fine. Yeah. The parasite can't survive below 15. So
I plan on going hypo within 4 weeks because I want to do it gradually and slowly. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And from that point, that's when my hypo salinity will start. Yeah. So
from when you've got to that point.
Yep, that's when I got to that point. That will be a fish-only system. The corals will go into a coral frag tank with the cleanup crew, and I will be leaving the rock in the sump. So that's going to be a sump frag tank.
Right.
Yep. Then they'll go fallow for the same period, as long as it takes for the main tank, and then they will all be refragged, re-healed, for 2 weeks, and then they'll start going into the main system again.
And you're using all new rock again?
Yeah, I'm using all new rock for the new system.
Right.
But I don't want no pests coming in from the old live rock. That's why all the corals are getting refragged, if you know what I mean. Like,
well, the other thing you got to remember as well, if you put the rock through hypersalinity,
yep,
then what effect is that going to have on the live rock?
This is the old rock that's coming from this tank.
No, I'm just saying generally for people that are maybe in the chat. I can't see the chat.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm making this point as a general point. So for people that are listening, if you put your live rock through hypersalinity, what effect will that have on the live rock itself?
Big bacteria loss. Huge.
Yeah. And the nutrients, 'cause any pests like bristleworms, things like that, that's all going to start to die off as well. So you got
exactly right. Yeah. So when you do that to your live rock, you then got to anticipate organic leaching, ammonia spikes. Like Craig said, bacteria loss. Because bacteria is an organism. It needs certain parameters. You can find, I'll try and find it, there is online a list of bacteria strains that we have in our aquariums. And the parameters in which they live in, from this point to this point salinity, from this temperature to that temperature, and so on. And so stuff like that's really useful to know, because if you do something to your system because you're doing something to your fish, obviously people forget that you're also doing it to other things that are in that system as well, like bacteria, macrofauna, zooplankton, and so on. And if you neglect to consider that, then all of a sudden that rock that you think, okay, I'm going to hypo that to make sure there's no pests, along with the pests, you're also killing off a lot of other stuff. So then if you don't consider that and you put that live rock back in your system, right, I'll get back on with it, then all of a sudden you got other issues because of leaching organics from the dead, macrofauna and bristleworms and everything else that was residing in there.
See, all that
antipods and everything else.
That live rock that will go in the frag sump, that will go out to dry. So then that'll be dead then. But as I'm raising salinity up after hypo, I'm going to be adding colony in at a stage. Do you know what I mean? Like a cap full in it. I think I worked it out to a cap full with every water change. And that way it works out, it's building up the bacteria as we're going up. It's got that steady start as it's going to 35 ppt. Yeah, I'd say that's a pretty comprehensive way of doing it. What rock are you going to go with then for the new system? I've got a load of that. I'm trying to think what it's called. It's the purple rock basically, but it's been dipped in uric acid. What, like carob sea or rock? Yeah. I went and got some. I got it cheap at a fish shop. Yeah. And I don't. Their systems are full of Aptasia and stuff like that, so I don't trust it. Yeah. I mean, they keep them in a wet bath that are linked up to their systems. Yeah. Yeah, so you probably know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention any names. Right. It was going very cheap, extremely cheap. I'll be honest though, no disrespect, and I know it's not. I'm not saying it's a bad product. I just don't like that stuff. I just don't like it.
No. Which one? Sorry, which one? I missed that. Which product?
I don't like the carob sea,
the real Reefer,
and I don't like the real Reefer. And I've got nothing against people that do. I've got nothing against the problem. It's just a personal thing. I don't like. I think when you call something real reef rock,
it's not real
when
reef
it's man-made.
Yeah,
kind of a bit.
I got purple rock. Look at my purple rock. Mine looks like that Red Sea stuff, and I did it without even trying to do it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's easy to do.
You might as well go and make your own rock, really, haven't you? There's enough videos on it when you go to buy it, but I got it cheap. So
I'll tell you, I don't care if it embarrasses my wife. I swear she sees penis in everything. Because she'll we got to buy this rock, right? Because it's penis-shaped. And I'm like, why would I buy a penis-shaped rock? And David, you're very welcome. And again, that's...
I'd put that in my tank.
Well, you might. You're a bell end, we know. But, hey, how's it doing, Rob? So, David, just make little baby step changes. Don't try to go nuts. And like I said with the water changes, if you want to go for you can't hurt a tank technically doing water changes. So if you want to reduce the nitrates if it's bothering you, but remember, chasing numbers, we'll all agree, is a bad thing. So if everything else is good and nothing looks bad, you're not growing a butt ton of algae, you're not, getting all these other bad things that are going on, just take baby steps. Do a 10-gallon change every week instead of every other day, right, to reduce that down, and get some sort of refugium or get a couple of pounds of Miracle Mud going in the sump to help you out, and just make minor changes. Right, and your feeding is the big one. You're feeding a cube of myces every day, and flake, or not flake, but I forget what it was. The food you said it was the. I'm going to lose it in the chat here, but cut that down to every other day. Fish do not need to eat every day. My fish eat twice a day, but it's such a little amount I put in. It's actually, I've been told you're starving your fish. Well, I think that big fox face proves otherwise.
Unless you got Amphius. I just thought I'd get that one in there.
Yeah, no, and you're right. That's different.
Yeah.
Anthias is a different beast.
Yeah.
Like I told my wife, yes, they're beautiful. No, you can't. Like she wants Bartlett's Anthias, the pink ones.
Oh, nice.
There's just too much work.
And same with the Evians. No, it's man, it's so hard to keep. If you have a big system, that's okay because you got the sump and the way to remove it. When you got a smaller system, you could be David. Everybody looks at their fish and want to feed them. Trust me, we all did it. Oh my God,
they'll give you the look.
My clowns would, and it's like I was going to tell Tony, when he takes his fish out for the move about this whole thing, don't forget to smack him around a little bit and tell him to work out more, get healthier. You know what I mean?
I'm quite good with mine because I've got them trained to feed from my hand.
Yep.
And I know you're not supposed to, but I did for this very reason. So when it comes to getting them out the tank, I haven't got to sit there and destroy the rock, shaking up the base.
Yep.
I can literally scoop them straight out.
Mine know I'm up to something, so they know. Yeah, go ahead.
I think with the nitrate removal, there's you got to look at a variety of things, like with which is causing the high nitrates.
Yeah, I'll be right back, guys.
Okay. Well, one of them is like even your aquascape. Is your aquascape done in a way that it's trapping stuff? Two, are you overfeeding or broadcast feeding too much? So you're just throwing the food in, and some of it, the fish getting, other bits is dropping. Gravel vacuuming, is a great way to remove nitrates and build up, because underneath, like at the base of your rock, where the flow is, you got dead flow and stuff gathers there. That's a good, if you're going to do water changes, then gravel vac. So get a gravel vac and clean your sand as part of your water change. You're directly removing, those things that are leaching. If you just change water, you're only removing what's being produced, but not the thing necessarily that's producing it. So that can be a long mechanical
at all, Nick?
Is what, sorry?
Is he using any mechanical?
I don't know, to be honest. That's another good point. If you've got sponges and filter floss and stuff like that, change that out more regularly. The thing about sponges, and in the old days when we used to use filter sponges for stuff, and people used to say it's a nitrate factory. One of the things we used to tell you is don't run it under a tap, because the tap will kill the bacteria. But my thing is, I don't care that I'm going to lose any type of bacteria that might have grown on the sponge, because I've got my filter media, I've got my biome in there. That's my bacteria. So I don't need the bacteria.
This is more of a sponge filters are more of a support system, aren't they? That's what they are.
I mean, in my when I had a puffer fish in the office, I ran that on biome. There was no sump. And I had a little internal sponge filter that I used to take the sponge out of it 2 to 3 times a day, run it under the tank, squeeze it out, rinse it through, shake it off, and put it back. Because it was literally a hoover. That's all it was. It was a hoover to suck up stuff floating around in the water, hold it in the sponge so that I could flush it down the sink. And then it couldn't leach into the tank again. So it was literally a hoover bag. And so if you think of it that way, people will say, yeah, but you shouldn't rinse under the tank because you're going to kill the bacteria. Yeah, but I don't care because I'm not using it for bacteria. I'm using it as a hoover for bacteria.
Prehistoric knowledge. That's all that is, really, isn't it?
Well, the thing is, it's true.
You talk on the canister filters. Yes, was it yesterday or was it the day before?
Yeah, I mean,
the talk on the canister.
Yeah, I mean, it's true what they're saying. It's true. It's truth. They're not lying or telling you fibs. It's true. But if your system is based on sponge filter and bacteria combined with like your sponge filter is your biological filtration, then that's a different thing.
Yes,
but you don't it doesn't necessarily have to be that that's how you use it. And that was the point I was making when we were talking about the canister filters, that do we have to use the canister filter in the way that it's traditionally been used? I don't think you do have to.
No.
If for me, if I was to use a canister filter now, I would actually be using it as a nitrate reactor. So what I do is slow the flow right down, put a very efficient filter media in there, no filter floss, no anything else, and run it from even the cleanest area of my sump. I wouldn't take it directly from the display. I would take the water after it's gone past my skimmer, after it's gone past my filter socks or filter floss, after it's gone out to every other area. Then I pick it up maybe even in the return chamber. Yeah.
So
you know what works out good and it is cheap is those little EF boosters. Have you seen them?
Which one?
All Pond Solutions do them.
Yeah, stuff like that. The guys in America might not know about that product unless they've got a different branded products or the same thing over there.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of nitrate dilution, if you like, there's a range of things that you can do.
One sec, David.
When Paul first asked me to help him with his tank, because he was not getting any growth at all on his coral, he was getting good base growth, no tip growth, and he only had a background of nothing major, really. If you looked at his tank, you'd be scratching your head, kind of saying, well, why isn't it growing? And all we did was we reduced the little bit of nitrate he had in his water column. Then we purged out all his rock. That raised the nitrates up because we dragged it out of the rock into the water column. We purged it out again. And then all we did then was feed the growth he was getting. He removed some fish, like he had a moray eel. So we removed that fish because it's a dirty fish. You know, the messy eaters, they put a lot of crap into the water. So he decided to do that so he didn't need to manage it.
I can understand why he got it. It is a show fish, isn't it? An eel.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong. I'm not saying everybody should get rid of their eels because as long as you understand the load that it puts on your system, then you put something in place to manage it. You know.
Well, that's why with Joey, I was really surprised that he went with predators. Right? It's like that is the highest bioload fish because they basically eat other fish, so they're going to shit out that other fish. You know what I mean? So
nothing's processed. It's
nothing,
processed food,
right? And that's why they got to eat so much because they need to eat more to get the same out of it, right? You know, it's and so David, if you understood what I said, drill 5 or 6 holes in the container that fits in your sump with the miracle mud in it, lower it in so the water fills in. Let it, it's going to take you a few minutes here, and then slowly lower it to the bottom. Let it sit till it settles. Pop the lid. Let it settle, slowly take the lid off, wait for it to settle, then pull the lid out as efficiently that you're not creating a big whoof, right? And then let it settle. And and by the way, turn off your return pump while you're doing this. Once it settles, then go ahead and kick the return pump back on. It's a lot easier than trying to empty the sump, put the mud in, and fill it back up. And if you can do that, great. That is, you can do that as well. But if you just want to add it to the system, make sure it's would you say it'd have to be a deeper tub, or does it really matter, Nick, when it comes to miracle mud?
It depends on your sump flow, to be honest, because you don't want a huge flow going across it that's just going to constantly blow it into your sump system.
Yeah.
So if you've got quite a high turnover of flow through your sump, then the deeper the container,
the better.
Then the better, because it's going to go over the top. And then, it's going to sort of, like almost gyro effect, really come in and swirl around over the top. So the deeper it is, you might get some fast flow at the top of the container and then a slower flow you know, further down that lip, if you like. So it really depends on the flow of the sump that you have. The other thing you can do as well, if you do what Craig says, but you could also just get some of your tank water and just pour it over the mud if you don't want it to powder up, because then you're pre-soaking it, you're wetting it. And just put so much in that it like slowly over, almost like use what's those things, like a what do you call them, like a garden can where it's a spray rather than a spout.
Yes.
What do you call water? Like a watering can.
Like a watering can. Yep.
Yeah. So just sprinkle the water over until it starts to drip out the bottom. Then you know that it's soaked up, and then when you put it in, it's not dust that's going into contact with it. But the other thing is, you will still get some very, very fine particles blow off and then go into your tank, and your tank will look a little bit cloudy. But if you watch your coral, the polyps go mad for that stuff, because in quite a few of the systems where I've seen people introduce Miracle Mud, they've actually been slightly depleted in some of those trace minor elements. So when the corals detect it, they just go, ooh, here's the good stuff.
And then let it run. And the thing with nitrates, where do they come from? 99% of the basically it's food and poop is where it's coming from, right?
You put it in basically.
So the trick to it is that once you kind of break that feeding cycle and watch your fish, you'll know if they're not getting enough. You'll know. And you can adjust it. Go ahead.
Well, Paul did a video basically going through the methods that we went through to do his system, and it's on the Reef Community Worldwide YouTube channel. And you'd need to go to videos and scroll down quite a bit, but the title of it is something like "How to Reduce Nitrates and Phosphates Without Lotions and Potions." And through that, he basically just runs through the methods and the regime that I gave him. And on the video, he says, you know, he reduces nitrates and phosphates by half in 1 week. And within that week, bear in mind, he never had tip growth. He had just started to get white tip growth on all of his coral. So just if you watch that video and just follow what he did, you're going to make a big difference straight away. And it's not technical stuff, and that's why I titled it "No Lotions and Potions." There was no Nopox being used. There was no added products. All he did basically was change out his filter sock every day, every other day. Not because it was blocked up, but because it changed color. Because the thing with filter socks and filter floss is it'll capture all the particles, but then it's like a tea bag. It then releases it as the water's powering through it. It'll leach out on the other side.
Yes. Hence the word nitrate factory. So, trying to, when you start arguing with the ones that are really kind of into that, it's like, look, I change my filter socks every 3 days. Right on the damn money. That's a lie, but you know what I mean, right? I try to make sure I do. And I've bought more filter socks to make that easier, and I wash... Pretty much I get down to the last set and they're in the tank, they go in, and I wash those other socks that day, so that 3 days later, all the chemical that could be, because I wash them with bleach, right? I make sure they're completely cleaned out, and then I let them air dry. I actually sit them up on the plastic ring so they air out, and then I, start replacing them again. So, that's just it. And a canister filter, you can use a canister filter like we were talking about on a tank, no problem. Just make sure that you're changing it out on a fairly regular schedule. So I tell people when they're buying a canister filter for a saltwater tank, get one that's easy to open up and change out the media. That's the smartest way to go.
Craig, do you use filter floss inside your filter socks?
I do not. Should I?
Yeah, because when you're changing your filter socks, are you using the cloth ones or the nylon ones?
I use the felt.
The felt ones, okay. So they clam up over time, and what you'll find, the more you wash them, the more they get clammy, and the quicker they fill up, right?
It goes the other way, actually.
Oh, really? With the ones you got?
Yeah,
okay.
With the ones I got, that goes the other way. Yeah.
I mean, you can try this and see what you think, but if you fill the sock halfway or third to a halfway with filter floss, what you'll find is your filter sock then becomes a filter floss holder, and then what that allows you to do is you just basically scoop out the filter floss every second day.
Yep.
and rinse that out, squeeze it out, put it back. You don't even need to bleach it or anything. You just rinse it under the tap.
Rinse it out, and then extend the life of the...
So it's a lot quicker, and it extends the life of your filter socks. It's a lot cheaper. To the point where, you know, you can literally throw it away and replace it if you wanted to.
Yep.
But generally...
It's not a bad idea, actually.
I'm tight, so...
Yeah, so am I. I am.
I would squeeze it out until you notice, oh, yeah, it's getting a bit khaki now, so I'm going to replace it. But you'll find that a lot more effective than just using your filter socks alone.
Yeah, we lost Tony. Where'd Tony go?
Oh, he got bored of me talking.
Oh, he probably did. We all get bored with you talking. Come on now.
I get bored of me talking.
I get bored of me talking too. Everyone's like, why don't you stream for 4 or 9 hours? And I just can't be it. Why? What are we going to talk about? It's going to get silly at some point. That's what Friday night and Saturday night are for. You know, we'll slip into left field at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, Rob, thanks for bringing that up. Nitrate reduction is probably outside of ick the biggest thing we talk about. That and phosphates.
This is why I wish. See, the thing is, people. This is what I was speaking to Michael about the other day, I think, and I was raging a little bit because people do stuff, and then we try and tell them what they've done wrong. Where if we could intercept that with a prescribed way of doing things to not let them get in that place in the state in the first place is much better, I think. Prevention rather than cure. And I don't, us as experienced reefers, if you like, I think we have to a degree a little bit more responsibility to maybe talk more often about particular methods to prevent rather than be a Q&A for help.
There's that too. Yeah, me and you have talked about that. That sometimes it's like the hydrogen peroxide thing. A lot of people heard me talk about it. A lot of people saw Rotter do it. And then a lot of people heard me, oh my God, I would not have done that. You know, and I tried to explain why, and it's that, you know, the minute you say to me, oh, well, you should use 35% food grade. Okay, I got a question for you, Hotshot. Put it in your hair.
But here's a good example.
You know what I mean? No, go ahead.
How many people test the water that came with the fish that they've just bought?
There you go.
Because if you don't test the water, how do you know how to acclimatize?
Yeah, exactly.
Because if their fish systems, like Tony was saying, are being run at a lower salinity to stave off,
you have a much longer acclimation than you think you do. Exactly. Yeah. Or what if it's at 2.6 and you run at 2.4? Right? You got to now play the water exchange game, right? And I said to a guy, don't lower it too much, right? You know, give it a longer period, right? But, you know, if it's a half bag of water, dump half that out. The fish will be fine in there for now and start dripping right away if you're going to do it that way, right? But if, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I've done it and everything worked out, but if it's higher than my salt, I'm okay with just giving them temperature, couple of, you know, half an hour drip, in they go. I don't care if it completely matches up because dropping it doesn't cause osmotic shock. It's raising it that causes, or, you know, we're talking about a lot lower would cause it, but it's when you go up that's always going to create the greatest amount of osmotic shock, right? So, you know, I agree with you on that front. That whole super long acclimation, like I had, remember the guy I bitch about in Moncton? He writes the thing, right? And literally says he acclimates for 18 hours, and everybody that knows anything is like, what the are you talking about? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it's better for the fish. Really? To sit in ammonia-laden goddamn water for 18 hours is a good idea? You know, and just...
That's the thing, it is... I mean, I've got a question for you, Craig.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many times since you've been live streaming or you've been joining the live streams has anybody said, oh, how long do I acclimatize for? Because I was told that I need to acclimatize dependent on after I've tested the water from the store. So if the water I've tested comes out at, you know, 1.015, 1.019,
yeah.
What time I've heard that, then that means I have to acclimatize an extra hour for every 0.5, you know, difference in the salinity. Is that right? How many people have asked?
I've never been asked.
Exactly, right?
Never, right? Well, I'm going to answer David's question right quick, just so I don't lose him.
Sure.
David, in a 40 5 50-gallon system like you have, 2 pounds of Miracle Mud would be great. It really would. It would do more good than it would ever not do it. And changing it out is how long? About half of it every other year? Or... oh, I'm never going to shake this cold. I always check my parameters on the water from the store, Haley. Just me. Because you never know. Just saying. And you probably never had a problem because your store is probably pretty good at it. Now, or they're not doing hyposalinity like we're talking about. So yeah, David, about 2 pounds would you recommend for a 50-gallon system? Maybe 5 at the most. But you're probably going to have trouble in a sump of your size getting 5 pounds in there. But if you can, go for it. The more, the better. And we'll warn you, the price is probably going to make you scream. Just warning you. So, did I lose Nick? I did.
No, I'm here, buddy. I'm here.
No, so would you say on a 50-gallon system, 2 pounds would be enough, wouldn't it? It would make a difference.
Sorry, say that again. I'm just texting some.
Right, yep. Miracle Mud.
supplies.
Miracle Mud,
Yeah.
50-gallon system with a sump. About 2 pounds would do it in a container, wouldn't it? 5 if you can fit it in there.
Yeah, there's a guideline on how much to use. But just bear in mind with that guideline, it's not taking into account other things that you might be doing. So that the Miracle Mud guideline, I think, is more based on like a skimmer-based system to populate enough bacteria and stuff to manage that system. So you can go slightly below that guideline.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Was it like 3 pounds for every? I can't remember now myself, to be honest.
It's on the sites that are selling it, and get the real Miracle Mud. I don't think there's a problem with the Carib Sea stuff, but you know, you get what you pay for. So,
the Carib Sea, like mineral mud or whatever it is.
I think mineral mud they call it. Yeah. So I've never.
Yeah, you have to just be aware of the differences in the products, because the
Tom.
Miracle Mud it's like 80% natural resources and 20% additives.
Yeah.
With the other stuff, some of it, like they call it mineral mud, Miracle, Fiji mud and stuff like that.
Right.
But if you look at it, it's like I don't know if the problem is with a lot of stuff. There's no actual breakdowns to show you the actual
what they did
between products. Yeah.
What did you guys actually use? Yeah. So.
Yeah. So I would say just be cautious. For me, the Miracle Mud is always the go-to for me personally. It's like the authentic product. I think sometimes the other ones, even if you look at the packaging, you can see that they've tried to emulate it.
You know what's funny is David just said brilliant, and then later on laugh out loud. I know I'm crying. I'm guessing you looked up how much it cost, David. It is the benefit far outweighs the price. It really does. And are you bubbling? That was another question I never got to. And the reason I bring that up is that it will help you with turning over, and helping get the oxygen levels in the tank to a level that will then help you get a rein on your parameters and get them in check for you. That's real basic, but it does help. Trust us. Wooden air stone, good size pump. Put it in your sump in the last baffle, about 3/4 of the way down. And if you don't really or can't really do that because of the spacing, put it in the behind the pump so that it's only getting the smallest of bubbles. And you'll see a huge improvement. Your pH is going to go up too. Try to get as fresh air as possible. So if you can get a Tom's Aqua Lifter and run a hose out the window like I do it. Yeah, trust me. And unfortunately, well, it's not unfortunate, guys. It's been a great stream. We're almost hitting 2.5 hours. I did make appointments for today, so I can't go much longer here. Like I said, I'm going to try to run 2 to 3 hours at the most. Today was going to be like 2.5 at the most. So I'm going to stop for now. And don't forget the Seahorse Whisperer. I did link it, and I am going to link her again. Just for everybody who's here, if they want to... why the heck did the address go away? Because it's crazy.
What time is that scheduled for?
8.
We've got
so
Dev's on tonight as well, right?
Yeah, Dev's on at... he's early. He's going to be on in about an hour. Less than that. Dev's on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, my time, I think.
Oh, is that like less than an hour away?
Yeah, I think it's less than an hour away, because remember, he comes up real last second with it, and then she comes on, so Dev's on
okay.
in a couple of hours, and then she's on after, because she's on at 8:30 Eastern.
Okay, cool.
Right? So like 9:30 my time. For you guys over there, it's 1 in the morning, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to be a really, really interesting one tonight. I know it is, with some live footage of dwarf seahorses and such, and talking about their care, right? Because that's the hardest part with seahorses. Breeding and care are the two big things with them, and those guys are doing this in spades. You know what I mean? So I definitely, and I love helping her out, getting her stream looking good and everything too, right? So yeah.
Cool.
So and I got the link. Give me a sec here. Oh, of course I do. So I'll link it up one more time. Yeah, 1:30 in the AM. No, PM for you, right? I think. Yeah. So there you go.
1:30 AM. So the early in the morning.
Yeah, it'd be early in the morning, but Rip's a late night kind of guy. Hey, Craig, can you put her channel in the link? I just did. Ha ha ha. So yeah, definitely check it out. She's great. She's quite highly entertaining. Show. You haven't met my wife. I run a hose. Do whatever you want. Just do it when she's not home. It's easier to beg for forgiveness than to ask for permission. Just saying. I had to be very careful. Running an airline was enough to get my wife going. So I'm like, oh no, this has to be this way. It's a thing, and I made up all kinds of lies. Whatever, you get around it. So, but if you can't, try to get it as far away from your tank or run a hose high enough up that it's not sucking CO2 because it's a heavier gas. Right. So no, anytime, man. That's why I do this. Right. I try to help out who I can when I can, and try to be as entertaining while we're doing it as possible. Right. So, like Nick will tell you, if anybody can get silly, I can get silly. Quick. Yeah. So, all right. So, ladies and gents, I will catch you all later. As I like to say, later taters. And Nick, I'll talk to you for a sec before I drop off too.
Yeah, no worries.
All right. So, later, folks.
All right. See you later, guys.